Booyaka! And we're back. It's good to see y'all again, and I hope you've been keeping well since the last time I saw you. You might not be able to tell from the title, but this is a part 2 to an initial part 1, as I think numerical sequences work like that. So, if you haven't, you can go and watch part 1 if you so please. However, you don't need to. Explain! Okay, if you already know about Borderlands 2's weapons and or don't really care about non-uniques and would just like to see a video individually going through the more unique weapons in the game, you're welcome to stick around for the ride here and not go and see part 1, but I kind of implore you to. You don't need to though, but you don't need to, but hey. And with that said, let's jump straight into part 2 of explaining old guns in Borderlands 2, starting off with the bundle of joy and confusion that is the uniques. Much like the change between normal weapons and E-Tech weapons, we're going to switch up the format once again. But why, I hear you asking? Moving forwards, every single unique, legendary, seraph, pearlescent, and effervescent is completely individualistic, having its own special and quirky perks and different way of working. This means that I'm going to have to cover every single one in order by themselves. Yeah, you see all that other stuff that was before? Nah, this is the real start of the video. I know we were already quite far in, but what came before was just all generic explanatory bullshit compared to what's coming, so prepare yourself. You can get your grubby little hands on unique weapons in a few different ways. They're usually rewarded from a challenging task like completing a specific mission or defeating certain enemies, and feature special abilities that are often related to the mission and or the enemy that provides it. They're distinctive in the fact that they usually come with a specially coloured skin which only that weapon can have. In most cases, you can only get one unique per playthrough, such as a mission reward unique or enemies that only spawn in once. If you really wanted to get a specific version of a weapon and you get the wrong one, it's not the end of the world. There are ways to reset your save to before you killed that enemy or to before you turned in the mission to try again, until you get the gun you want. If you got the gun 5 missions and 4 fast travels ago though, unfortunately you're now stuck with that prefix of weapon until the next playthrough. This is only really a problem with uniques for the most part, seeing how you mostly get them from missions and legendaries, seraphs, pearls and effervescents that either farmable from bosses, randomly spawn, or are bought from vendors. They don't have this problem. The Flame of the Firehawk is the only legendary I can think of from the top of my head with that problem, but that's a shield, and this is a video about guns, so check the title, and fuck you. Uniques, legendaries, seraphs, pearls and effervescents also display small red text underneath the weapon stats, which usually consist of a reference to something or relating to the gun's ability. It's something small that makes each weapon stand out just a tiny bit more and makes Borderlands that much more amazing that they would include little things like that in the games. I don't really know how to start talking about each weapon, so I'ma just start. But before that, yes, I know you're already getting ready to skip ahead to where the video actually starts. I too use YouTube. But listen, please, I beg. This video is sponsored by Rogue Energy. I used to have a lot of caffeine, right? Like, a lot. It basically pumped through my veins all day. It's a whole thing. But eventually my body kind of had enough and decided nope, and made me sort of feel horrible whenever I had any kind. This left me with a big hole to fill as to where I'd get my energy from now on, now that boatloads of coffee were no longer an option. That's where Rogue Energy comes in. Their hydration formula has 0 caffeine and sugar in it, yet provides a nice boost to my energy levels, making me not feel absolutely terrible, and has all the electrolytes, vitamins, and all those numbers you see on the back of stuff that you have no idea what it's about, but hey, it's a vitamin, so you definitely need it or whatever. If you're not a complete wuss like me, however, they do have their original energy line with over 16 flavors to choose from, including dragon fruit lemonade, ooh, black cherry, ooh, and tiger's blood? You can even try some samples of them for free in large quotation marks. Just pay whatever the delivery cost would be for you and get some shipped out. Make sure to use code LFX at checkout for 10% off, please. Nah, but for real though, it's actually kind of mad I got a sponsor, and using my code would really help me out. You don't have to, of course. Hell, I just appreciate if you've actually made it to the end of the ad read. Anyway, enjoy the video, and thanks again to Rogue Energy for sponsoring this video. The 12 pounder. The rocket launcher 12-pounder is manufactured by Torg and comes from the Borderlands 2 Pirates Boosted DLC by killing the boss Big Sleepin' Hater's Folly. It's considered a sand pirate weapon. It's a very generic grey colour, being distinctive in the fact it has the pirate's flower with the 2 crossed swords painted on the side of the body. It fires a cannonball in an arching trajectory and only has a 1-round magazine. The cannonball then explodes when it hits an enemy or ricochets off the first surface and explodes when it hits a second surface. Its unique red text reads, "Nec pluribus impar, bitches," being a reference to the same motto adopted by Louis XIV of France, minus the bitches bit. The Bane. The SMG Bane is manufactured by Hyperion and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game. It is acquired by completing the mission of the same name found in Sanctuary.
Oh my fucking god!
It's a dark grey colour with faded red marks all over the weapon, possibly being the blood of its previous victims. It never shuts the fuck up. Even if you turn the game volume to 0, this little bastard of a weapon will continue to blare out nonsense until you inevitably commit Sudoku. That wasn't bad enough, it slows you down to a crawl whilst using it, making practical use of it, aside from trying to beat the whole game with just the Bane in your hands, like a madman, useless. What makes that worse is it lures you in with quite good weapon stats, only to rear end you with no lubricant. Honestly, fuck you Gearbox. Its red text reads, "In Spain, stays mainly on the plane." The Blockhead. Minecraft! The shotgun Blockhead is manufactured by TDR and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game by killing the badass creeper in the Caustic Caverns. It has the iconic Minecraft block pattern all over it and has the same base colour of Minecraft stone, with the secondary colour being the same as Minecraft diamonds. The Blockhead fires a square 3x3 spread of fireballs, making up the shape of Minecraft. The balls ricochet off surfaces up to 2 times, they then explode on impact and deal splash damage. Explosions from the fireball deal 100% weapon damage at splash damage that is boosted by grenade damage. Its red text reads, "Also try Minecraft," in reference to when Minecraft puts "also try blank game" in its title screen. The Boom Puppy. The assault rifle Boom Puppy is manufactured by Torg and comes from the Borderlands 2 Campaign of Carnage DLC. It is rewarded after completing the mission Walking the Dog. This weapon design screams Tina, with white paint and pink camo being plastered all over the gun, and includes the iconic Stitch bunny design on the side. Like any good Tina gun in a Torg DLC, it fires a low velocity, bouncing grenade, which explodes each time it bounces. The grenade continues bouncing for a number of seconds before detonating. The grenade arc behaves similar to a rubberized grenade mod rather than any other grenade firing assault rifles. Consider it the tiny Tina version of the Kablaster.
I mean, I see this, it's so incredible. Ding, 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 boom. Okay, shing, boom, Star Wars.
The red text, in good taste, reads, "Boom, boom, 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 good doggy." The perfect pair for the perfect DLC. The Buffalo. The sniper rifle Buffalo is manufactured by Jacobs and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game. It is acquired by completing the mission Demon Hunter in Lynchwood. It has a very washed wooden finish with a pale green near the end of the stock, looking similar to a sniper rifle that someone would have in Western times, which fits the Lynchwood theme. No quickscopes for you, baby! This bad boy always comes without a scope. In addition, it will never have a magazine accessory, fire rate accessory, or damage accessory, making it the most basic sniper you can officially get in the game. These are compensated by the fact that it gets a 50% damage boost and the original crit damage bonus given to Jacob snipers. Its red text reads, "Bison, bison, had, bison, 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 she. That sounds like absolute drivel. It's because it is, purposefully being a reference to a bunch of bullshit linguistic riddles. The Chopper. The assault rifle Chopper is manufactured by Bandit and comes from the Borderlands 2 Big Game Hunt DLC by killing Dexidius the Invincible. It looks practically the same as every other rare Bandit assault rifle, having the same colours, designs, and markings. It has an absolutely ammo-melting magazine size and continuously shoots with only one press of the trigger. The only way to stop it firing is to run out of bullets, to melee, or to switch to another weapon. It has an extremely fast fire rate but low accuracy and fires 4 projectiles at the cost of 6. While this gun is fun, the high ammo consumption it has, plus actually getting the fucking boss to spawn in is more of an achievement in itself. It's not worth it, especially since it's not even a guaranteed drop and it takes 96 iridium to spawn in Deciduous. For you. What? Its red text reads, "Get to it!" A clear reference to my boy Arnie's legendary quote.
Run! Go! Get to the chopper!
The Chulainn. The SMG Chulainn is manufactured by Maliwan and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game. It is acquired during the quest Clan War Zaphids vs Hodunks Out in the Dust. It's a very clean, shiny violet colour, having some type of bird on the magazine with its wings spread out. This gun is a double-edged sword. It fires shock rounds, which also do bonus slag damage, but it applies slag to the welder as long as the weapon is equipped. This lasts a couple of seconds after swapping weapons.
Oh, shut it, you slag! No, you shut it, you slag! You slag! You slag! You slag! You
Shut the fuck up.
It is also one of only 2 guns in the entirety of Borderlands 2 that combines slag and shock together, the other being a Seraph weapon. The red text reads Ryastrad, in reference to Chulainn, who would fight in a mad frenzy known as a Ryastrad, killing anything in his path. Don't know what the bird on the gun or slag and shock have to do with him, but drugs are great, aren't they? Chere-Amie. The sniper rifle Chere-Amie is manufactured by Maliwan and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game after surviving the 5th round of the Hyperion slaughter in the Orchasm.
Oh my god!
It is very clearly a Moxie weapon, having her logo on the side of the weapon and the distinctive red colour scheme. Like any other Moxie weapon, there is healing effects, having the user get healed for every 15% of damage given out. There is also a 20% crit bonus, because of course there is, why not?
Are you fucking kidding me?
I fucked up the red text in one of my old videos, so text-to-speech is going to come in clutch. It reads...
I am French chinite crusty baguette and cheese.
It reads...
Je suis enchante. Où est le bibliothèque?
This translates to English as, I am delighted, where is the library? A reference to Flight of the Conchords. The infamous Cobra. The sniper Cobra is manufactured by Jacobs and comes from the Borderlands 2 campaign of Carnage DLC by killing Pete's burners in the beatdown. It is also the centre of a large discussion based around how rarity should be handled in Borderlands. Much like the Boom Puppy, this is Tina through and through, with white paint and pink camo all over the weapon and a stretched out Stitch bunny on the barrel. This gun is the only weapon in the game to fire explosive bullets. You heard me right, the only one.
Hey, stop!
You might be thinking, well, Torgue's guns fire explosive bullets. Nope, they fire gyrojets or just small micro missiles, not bullets. This then means that the bullets are hit scan, unlike Torgue's projectiles, making it easier to shoot enemies with. These explosive bullets deal 80% splash damage and have the Jacobs bonus of 110% crit bonus on top of that. So, what's the deal with the discussion based around rarity and this weapon? Well, in the first few weeks of Mr. Torgue's campaign of Carnage, there was some unrest in the community due to the fact that the Cobra was prominently featured in the trailers for the DLC, but was seemingly absent. In a forum post, Gearbox employee Hellface clarified that the Cobra is in fact in the game, as well as revealing the drop rate. This drop rate has been changed since then though. The Gearbox forums themselves have actually been taken down, so what you're seeing on screen is actually just screenshots from the Wayback Machine. The last post on the actual forum itself was in April of 2016, so it's still been 8 years since anyone even posted on it to this day, and I can't find the official message from the developer, as that was 4 years before the Wayback Machine even got a screenshot from the page. Whenever you kill one of Pete's burners, you have a very, very, very small percentage of a chance to drop Cobra. This is 0.0068% in normal Vault Hunter mode, 0.0138% in True Vault Hunter mode, 0.026% in Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, and 0.051% in the OP levels. This is just with one person, by the way, and it's even harder to get the more players you have, and it's random how many burners even spawn in the first place. And the funniest bit about all of that is the gun isn't even that good. It was just stupid to make the gun that rare, and made people really think if it's scummy or not to make something that difficult to obtain for seemingly no reason, other than maybe the euphoria you feel when it finally drops for you and the bragging rights you have if you get it legitimately. For me though, fuck that. I just got it from Loot Lemon. Look. Look. Yeah. I'm cool. The red text reads, "Found out about this, I was like, damn, I'm bringing that gun back," in reference to the gun being brought back from Borderlands 1. The Commerce. The SMG Commerce is manufactured by Hyperion and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game, and can be obtained after killing Assassin Watt at Southpaw Steam and Power.
What?
It is coloured with a mix of light and dark blue, with white bolts scattered along the top of the weapon, conveying the scene of a lightning storm. Always coming in shock, of course,
my God.
the Commerce's bullets penetrate enemies, and when moving, a flashing animated effect covers the entire weapon's surface. The red text reads, "I have a soldier, a siren, 2 scooters, and a claptrap." The Creamer. The launcher Creamer is manufactured by Torg and comes from the Borderlands 2 Creature Slaughterdome pack after making it past round 5 in the Creature Slaughterdome. Being another perfect example of a Moxie weapon, it's coloured in red and has the Mad Moxie logo stuck on the side of the body. Compared to a conventional rocket launcher, the Creamer has an increased rocket velocity, as well as having the rockets explode and split into 2 after a certain distance. Being a Miss Moxie weapon, of course, the user is healed 2% of damage dealt. The red text reads, "Non-dairy." It's a pretty obvious one, that. The Crit. The SMG Crit is manufactured by Maliwan and comes from the Borderlands 2 Assault on Dragon's Keep. It's earned at the end of the mission Critical Fail, otherwise known as a fumble, where you run about for like 15 godforsaken minutes, constantly chasing the fucker until Tiny Tina finally gets bored and says fuck it. Another Moxie weapon here, this time though having the main colour as a light purple, with Mad Moxie's logo covering the entire barrel, and an outline portrait of Moxie mixed with a yellow and blue colour fill on the left and right side of the magazine with purple on the bottom. Like the name suggests, the Crit has a bonus to crit damage, being at 150%. In addition, there's also a 12% chance that the gun seemingly slips out of your hands, making you chase after it and pick it up to continue using it. Fuck! Making you feel like a little bitch. It also only comes in shock. The red text reads, "Slippery when wet," referencing the fact that the weapon has a chance to fall out of your hands, and also, ha ha ha, funny, you get it? Because Moxie makes innuendos, haha, get it? Funny, haha, sex. Sex. The Damned Cowboy. The assault rifle Damned Cowboy is manufactured by Jacobs and comes from the Borderlands 2 Big Game Hunt DLC after killing Bloodtail in Candlerack's Crag. It's also classed as one of Sir Hammerlock's hunting weapons. Being classed as a Hammerlock's hunting weapon, it has the signature Hammerlock logo above the magazine, with gold accents and a metallic, almost sapphire blue making up the main colour. This is all tied up nicely with a dark oak wood finish. Definitely an Alistair special, and I'm not talking about what him and Wainwright get up to. Kind of a basic perk on this fella, having increased damage and accuracy with the cost of reduced fire rate and reload speed and a 55% critical hit damage bonus. Come on! Come on! This basically turns it into a medium to long range sniper, as opposed to the assault rifle it is. Kind of fitting for a Hammerlock gun, honestly. The red text reads, "Speak softly, carry this." The Dog. The shotgun Dog is manufactured by Bandit and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game by killing Assassin Roof in Southpaw Steam and Power. Similar to the Bane, it has a very dark grey appearance with blood slathered all over the barrel and beginning of the body. It's either blood or someone accidentally dropped their bolognese sauce all over the place.
It's all like Andy! It's just bolognese!
This bad boy comes with a very large magazine size, has better damage than your regular Blue Bandit shotgun, and an increased fire rate. And that's it. Yeah, it's kind of a bland one. No fancy pantsy homing projectiles or exploding bullets. Just your basic perks, but a tiny bit better. Makes sense though, considering this is an early game weapon, and hey, not everything can be the best weapon in the game. Its red text reads, "Because 1 barrel ain't enough, and 2 is too few." A reference to the gun itself having 3 barrels, and 3 Dog from Fallout 3. The Elephant Gun. The Sniper Elephant Gun is manufactured by Jacobs and comes from the Borderlands 2 Big Game Hunt DLC after killing Arizona in Hunter's Grotto. It's also classed as one of Sir Hammerlock's hunting weapons. Just like the Cowboy, this is a signature styled hammerlock weapon, with the hammerlock logo just behind the magazine, the gold making up the majority of the colour this time, and the sapphire blue on only small parts of the weapon. The dark oak wood finish is still very much prominent, covering the stock and the rear end of the barrel. Fundamentally being the spicy version of the buffalo that we covered before, the elephant gun is very similar in how it operates. You get a hefty 150% damage boost with reduced accuracy, fire rate, reload speed, and magazine size, slowing how fast you can fire down to a crawl, making this gun very finicky to use in most encounters. Fuck, how you doing? Gonna kill you in a minute. Just give me a sec. I'm cocking the weapon. Closer, now you're shooting at me. Sake, this gun is so trash, dude. As you can probably see, it too, like the buffalo, cannot spawn with a scope, very much like the real elephant gun. This makes hitting targets difficult any further than like right up next to you, especially with no iron sights to offer, just the Picatinny rail. That combined with the low fire rate makes this shit kinda suck, I'm not gonna lie. Its red text reads, hated by large numbers of people, which could be a reference to how Gearbox knew people would think this gun is ass, but also to the fact that the real life counterpart was used to hunt endangered species. The Evil Smasher. This gun is how I know how long you've played this game. Okay. The assault rifle Evil Smasher is manufactured by Torg and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game. It is rewarded after completing the mission The Chosen One at Sawtooth Cauldron. It is also the head of one of the most game-breaking OP as fuck glitches in Borderlands 2. The gun appears to be cheaply made. Certain parts have colour and texture of corroded copper, while others are painted pure white and covered in doodles. The normal stats for this are actually quite underwhelming at first glance. However, this is where the unique perk for this weapon comes into play. After reloading, it has a somewhat rare 7% chance to buff its next magazine with one of 9 stat changes, those being plus 900% damage, plus 100% projectile speed, plus 60 fire rate, plus 17 mag size, minus 50% max inaccuracy, plus 200% max accuracy, plus 200% recoil recovery, minus 150% recoil, and minus 200% spread. Keep in mind that the magazine size on this thing is only 9, making the buffs not last very long and having a hard chance of applying again unless you get the plus mag size. This is how the glitch made by using this weapon was so overpowered. It essentially used these buffs to permanently apply bonus stats to any other weapon in the game. That stacks over and over again, an unlimited amount of times. Broken. This is how you would achieve the glitch back in the day. Unfortunately, it was patched a long time ago, so I'll have to see if I can find a clip of it for reference since you can't do it anymore. All you need to do is empty the clip of the Smasher completely. As soon as the Evil Smasher starts to reload, switch away to another weapon, say something like the Infinity Pistol. You then swap immediately back to the Evil Smasher and repeat swapping away and back as many times as needed to gain the power level. The power-up occurs at the beginning of the reload motion, so wait about 1 second into the Smasher's reload motion, then swap away. When swapping back to the Evil Smasher, there is no need to wait. By swapping back and forth, it is essentially forcing the power-up effects to stack on top of each other, multiplying the stacking effects. Effectively, looks like Evil Smasher's characteristic explosion and power-up sound cube becoming bigger and louder. I remember doing this back in the day and fuck me, it got so loud when I kept doing it, the sound basically just turned into a muffled static sound that transcended an explosion. I honestly thought I created a rift in space as a 12-year-old. Much like the infinite ammo glitch, this is one for the history books of Borderlands glitches. Rest in pickles. Its red text reads, "Evil will be smashed with smashing. Evil smash." Arrgh. The Fibber. The pistol Fibber is manufactured by Hyperion and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game. It is obtained after completing the quest A Real Boy Human in the Iridium Blight, with the gun and the whole quest being a not so subtle nod to Pinocchio. A light red is the dominant colour here, with a faded yellow making up the secondary colour. Teal turquoise accents make up a small part of the weapon, having parallel lines with pluses in the middle streak across the side of the weapon. The Fibber isn't your usual unique weapon. In fact, its ability is that it is a lying bastard.
You're a liar, a cheater, a sinner, and a homosexual.
With the name of the weapon and the fact it says it has a fucking 3000% damage boost, It kind of makes sense. 13-year-old me fell for this shit though, and I was so pissed at the time, and I genuinely still am. I will never let it go. It will go with me to my grave. There are 3 different variants of the Fibber that do 3 completely different things: the shotgun, the nine tails, and the crit. The shotgun, just like its name, shoots pellets similar to a shotgun, travelling with a low velocity. This barrel is indicated on the gun card by having a ×1 damage multiplier, or a ×2 the redundant prefix. The nine tails shoots bullets that shatter on impact or ricochet off walls, creating additional pellets. The bullets bounce off walls if they fail to hit anything, and the additional pellets travel with the same velocity as normal bullets. This barrel is indicated by the gun card with the highest damage of the 3 barrels. And finally, the best barrel out of all of them, the crit. This shoots bullets in an arc. Bullets also ricochet if it hits walls. This version has an unlisted 700% critical damage bonus. Am I fucking stupid? This version has an unlisted 700% critical damage bonus. You heard me right. 700%. You can see why I said it's the best one of the bunch now.
This shit means something to me, man.
You do have to ricochet the bullets off a surface onto an enemy, requiring some skill to hit the shots, but the payoff is 100% worth it.
No, fuck, shit.
This barrel is indicated on the gun card by a low number for gun damage. The red text reads, "Would I lie to you?" in reference to hit British panel show Would I Lie to You, and of course I'm fucking joking. The Fremingtons Edge. The sniper Fremingtons Edge is manufactured by Hyperion and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game by killing assassin Wreath at Southpaw Steam and Power. With a forest green painted over wood, the sun-bleached yellow and patterned leather strip going down the side of the weapon making it look vintage, but not old, it's surely an underrated design. The Fremingtons Edge, no, I don't know who Fremington is or why he's edging, has the unique perk of having the second highest magnification level out of any weapon in the game, coming in at a whopping 11.4 times zoom. In addition to this, you gain an additional 75% crit hit damage while you're zoomed in. Good luck trying to hit anything with that isn't 700 light years away though.
Excuse me, what the actual fuck?
The red text reads, "I can see my house from here." No shit. The Greed. The pistol Greed is manufactured by Jacobs and comes from the Borderlands 2 Pirates Booty DLC. You obtain this from Captain Scarlet when she flees like a little pussy after the mission X marks the spot in Wormwater. This gun is also classed as a sand pirate weapon. Just like the 12-pounder, the pirate's flower is seen once again, this time just behind the cylinder and in front of the hammer. It has basic colours with a spruce wood finish and your standard gunmetal covering the barrel, cylinder, hammer and trigger. It is one of only 4 Jacobs weapons that can spawn with an element, with the Greed always spawning in fire. In addition to this, you suffer no movement loss when aiming down sights, allowing you to root, toot, and shoot with style and speed. The red text simply reads, Thief. The unforgettable Grog Nozzle. The pistol Grog Nozzle is manufactured by Malawan and comes from the Borderlands 2 Assault on Dragon's Keep DLC. It's a mission item during the mission The Beard Makes the Man in the Mind of Avarice. Upon turning the mission in, you unfortunately lose it. The most famous Moxie weapon, the Grog Nozzle has a dominant purple colour with a light blue as a secondary. The Mad Moxie logo is painted on the barrel, as well as having a Moxie portrait on the bottom of the magazine and protruding onto the body. Like any other Moxie weapon, healing properties are also in effect, this time giving you a whopping plus 65% lifesteal to all damage dealt while having the gun in your hands. There are 2 unique perks of the Grog, the first being the way it fires. It fires slow projectiles that explode 3 times in midair, dealing slag splash damage each time. The first and second explosions occur after 0.6 seconds and 1.2 seconds respectively and deal 50% splash damage. 2 seconds after firing, the final explosion consumes the projectile. This has a plus 60% splash radius and deals 80% splash damage. Being the best guns in the game, aka Maliwan weapons, not bias, but also bias, Maliwan weapons have an increased elemental effect chance, with the Grog in particular having one of the best percent chances of any weapon in the whole game at a whopping 50%. Yes, 1 in every 2 shots. If that wasn't enough, every 5 seconds that you hold the Grog in your hands, you have a 13% chance to become fuckface drunk and off your tits for 5 seconds.
I am not fucking drunk.
This multiplies all projectiles fired by 5 times, decreases fire rate by 50%, decreases accuracy, and makes you sway back and forth like a pissed sailor. This is the perk that makes the gun fun as fuck to use and experiment with, making basically any gun with loads of projectiles a weapon of mass destruction. In your hands. I forgot to mention in your hand. You can see why this gun is a must-have in Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, not just because of how slag is pretty much a necessity, but also because of how OP some of the perks are in this weapon. In a game mode where every normal marauder is essentially a demigod with a million health that regens and one-shots you,
I can't fucking compete!
having a gun that has a chance to slag them every other bullet, heals you, has the potential to turn any other weapon into a pocket-sized nuke, and gets you drunk for free, you'd be a fucking idiot not to grab it as soon as you can. Fun fact about the Grog Nozzle, whilst it is a mission-only weapon, making people just straight up not complete the side quest that it's involved with to keep it, which makes sense unless you're a completionist, you can, or could, depending on who you know and the means you could go through to get it, get your hands on a legit out-of-mission Grog Nozzle. It dropped during the 6th day of the final week of the Borderlands 2 $100,000 loot hunt in 2013, whereupon the gold golem in the Mines of Avarice would drop it as a reward. If you know someone who got one in the hunt or had one duped from someone who did, you can technically still get it without cheating or from the mission, but it's more than likely just modded in with Gib, like this one here. Like the one I'm holding, yes it is mod, I didn't know anybody. In 2013, I was a 12-year-old. You can usually tell it's modded because it has all Maliwan parts and the expeditious prefix. It actually took me like 4 tries to say expeditious, like try... Jesus. Anything other than that, it is legit, or the person who modded it took a lot of precautions to not get caught out. The red text reads, "Hand over the keys, sugar." Note, by the way, I put in the script here, I know some guns I simply just gloss over, and then there's others I don't shut the fuck up about for like 10 minutes, but some guns are just more famous and interesting than others, like the Grog Nozzle, so it may be confusing to some of you, but it is what it is. Also, why did I put this note here and not at like the beginning of the video? Fuck. The Gwens Head. The pistol Gwens Head is manufactured by Dahl and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game after walking up to a random ass box in the middle of the dust that plays a meme that died like 11 years ago.
Oh, what's in the box?
Coming in a dull cream with a normal gunmetal finish, the defining feature of this weapon is the bloodstain marking on the front of the gun, covering the majority of the barrel, some of the grip, and a slither of the body. Nothing like the Grog this time. In fact, the Gwens Head has shit perks. A 7-round burst when zoomed in and a plus 75% crit bonus. The Easter egg dialogue you get when picking up the gun is actually better than the gun. So yeah, another one to just slam in the vault and forget about until the end of the game. It's also called the Gwens Head because guess what's in the fucking box? The red text reads, "Thinking outside the box." The Hail. The assault rifle Hail is manufactured by Vladov and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game after slamming the fuck out of Fink's slaughterhouse and putting him out of business, which translates to beating round 5. Yet another Moxie weapon, red is the dominant colour again, with a slightly purple metal finish. The Moxie logo is in a horrible position, not gonna lie, someone's getting fired for this, and the Moxie portrait is just above the trigger on the rear of the body. The Hail is super weird, basically messing with the muscle memory of anyone who's ever played a first-person shooter before. Why? Well, you say Jacob here. Well, he has decided to be our volunteer for this example. Don't worry, he signed a waiver or some shit. Anyway, you see I'm aiming at his fleshy little head, right? Well, let's fire and see what happens. Well damn. Would you believe that? It shoots into the fucking ceiling. The hail, like its name, shoots bullets in a hail upwards that then split into two and travel back down, exploding on impact. They deal 80% splash damage and have a plus 200% critical hit damage, making the weapon hard to use in normal circumstances but very powerful and satisfying to hit shots with. Also, good luck not pointing any other weapon down after using the hail for a few hours, it completely messes with your muscle memory.
Oh no!
Like any Moxie weapon, it heals you, giving only a plus 3% lifesteal for all damage given, nothing like the Grog Nozzle. Its red text reads, "What plaything can you offer me today?" in reference to Flash Gordon. The Heartbreaker. The shotgun Heartbreaker is manufactured by Hyperion and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game. It is received after the mission Safe and Sound in the Caustic Caverns by turning the mission into Moxie and not Marcus. Another red Moxie weapon, with the Moxie logo diagonally across the barrel, looking weirdly stretched for some reason, and the Moxie portrait being just behind that at the front of the body. Always coming in fire! Miss Moxie's Heartbreaker obviously heals you, this time for a pathetic 2%, and has a plus 50% critical hit damage. Not many perks, and each one of them not very large, but having 12 pellets per shot and very decent damage is a great selection over any other rare Hyperion shotgun, especially if you're looking for a fire shotgun in particular. Hellfire Krieg pairs extremely well with this gun for a great example, and other than that, do what you want. What, am I your severely gun-obsessed dad? It's a Moxie weapon, so... Its red text reads, "I don't want to set the world on fire," in reference to the Inkspot song of the same name. The Hive. The launcher Hive is manufactured by Maliwan and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game by defeating Saturn in the Arid Nexus Badlands. Sorry? Didn't hear you. A fucking what percent drop rate? Being one of the best looking rocket launchers out there, a bee theme encapsulates this weapon, with yellow filling the entire rear. Blotches of black lines grow larger as you make your way further up, having orange accents in front of them. Coming to the front, the barrel is fully black and brown, having a painting of a bee on the black part. The gun only comes in corrosive, so glowing green spots are seen all over, on the exhaust of the barrel, the center of the magazine, the front of the body, and the front part of the rear, whatever the fuck you call that bit. I'm not a weapons expert, okay? Stevie fucking Wonder on acid could probably describe things better than I can, give me a break. The unique perk is also very sick, but debatably terrible. It fires a large grenade-shaped projectile that slowly rises into the air upon impact with the surface, and then fires 2 homing rockets per second in every direction, dealing corrosive splash damage. After 7 seconds, it poofs out of existence. If you have an amp shield, the damage bonus from that is also added on. It sucks because this weapon has such a distinctive way of using it that you don't see every day, and it sounds like it would shred, but it kind of doesn't. Considering the projectile is stuck where you fired it, you only get 2 shots per magazine, it consumes 4 ammo per shot, the reload is slow as fuck, and it's stuck as corrosive. It considerably limits the output of damage the Hive can do. Plus, the little rockets' damage falls off a lot. Maybe in the Orchasm, where there is loads of robots together at once, you can fire one out as a replacement for a grenade, but mostly it's shit. Honestly, there are better rocket launchers out there for you to use. Its red text reads, "Full of bees." The Hydra. The shotgun Hydra is manufactured by Jacobs and comes from the Borderlands 2 Big Game Hunt DLC by killing the cutie pie that is Rouge out in Candlerex Crag. It is also classed as a Sir Hammerlock's hunting weapon. The Hydra has a very emeraldy green as its standout colour, with a faded black metal finish covering the rest of the weapon. Being a Hammerlock weapon, it, of course, has the Hammerlock logo, this time on the body, just underneath the sights and above the trigger. Similar to a legendary assault rifle called the Varuk that we're going to cover later, this shotgun fires a large spread of 5 pellets in a horizontal line, consuming only 3 ammo per shot and having a mag size of 5. You can probably compare yourself to some of the greatest mathematicians of all time by figuring out that's 2 shots per magazine. giving you a very ammo-conserving weapon, especially for a shotgun. The way the pellets spread out make it hard to hit anything further than dick-sucking range, but allow you to hit multiple targets at once as long as they are in a very specific line. Its red text reads, 5 heads of death, referencing the way the gun fires, but more importantly, the Hydra, a 5-headed water serpent that existed in Greek mythology. The Jolly Roger. The shotgun Jolly Roger is manufactured by Bandit and comes from the Borderlands 2 Pirate Booty DLC. It's rewarded after completing the quest Just Desserts for deserters in Wormwater. It is considered as a sand pirate weapon. A sandy wood finish covers the entire weapon, looking like something made entirely with parts of an old ship. The pirate flower and cross swords are located on the top front of the barrel. One of the unique perks I like to consider fucking awesome, but why is the spread based on something so awkward? The Jolly Roger fires shotgun pellets that make up a skull and crossbones pattern. It's similar to a gun I'm yet to cover called the Lascaux. It's a lovely idea to have the gun fire a sick looking pattern, but take a day off. Don't let my tone fool you though, it is still a pretty fucking amazing weapon. Being a bandit shotgun that only consumes 3 ammo per shot, you get a lot of bang for your buck with the amount of pellets you have, so shoot it as much as you like, but don't get too hooked. The red text reads, Pirate's life for me. The Judge. The pistol Judge is manufactured by Jacobs and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game by killing assassin Oni at Southpaw Steam and Power. Having a very used appearance about it, the Judge has a bruised metal colour scheme, with faded purple and pink all across the body, cylinder, trigger and hammer. Red covers the top of the barrel, with a very dark wood finish making up the grip and the rest of the barrel. The unique perk of the Judge is very basic, having increased projectile speed and a plus 30% increased critical hit damage. The red text reads, I am free now, a reference to a quote by Oni Judge, a slave of George Washington who escaped to freedom in 1796. Ah, see? Assassin Oni, the Judge pistol, Oni Judge, get it? The Kitten. The rare assault rifle Kitten is manufactured by Vladov and comes from the Borderlands 2 Campaign of Carnage DLC. It's rewarded after completing the quest Everybody Wants to Be Wanted at the Badass Crater Bar. This time being a pink coloured Moxie weapon, with the colour being across the entire gun. The Mad Moxie logo covers the entire magazine from the bottom to the top, and the Moxie portrait is located above the trigger at the rear of the body. Let's go in another weapon that fits into the fucking awesome, but why is the spread based on something so awkward category? The Kitten, which when I read I can no longer think about anything other than cringy weird degenerate Discord people and what Dream causes underage fuck buddies.
Guardians of the Galaxy 3? What that freak? That's a big chungus poggers!
You shut the hell up!
Has a bullet spread pattern of one of a certain Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland. The pattern starts off small, gets wider, and then closes back in again. You know the drill with Moxie weapons by now, it heals you. This one healing for 4% of damage given. Okay, so weird tangent here about me personally, right? When I saw this TV thing called Alice in Borderland, I thought it was some like weird Alice in Wonderland cross Borderlands knockoff movie thing, and what I saw was definitely not that. Still good though, I'd recommend watching it. The red text reads, we're all mad here. I'm mad, you're mad, in reference to guess fucking what.
Meow meow nigga!
I mentioned this reference in my all pop culture references in Borderlands 2 video, so make sure you go watch that. The lady gets fist, the lady fist. The pistol Lady Fist is manufactured by Hyperion and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game. It's rewarded at the end of the mission Uncle Teddy and the Arid Nexus if you turn in the mission at the bounty board, and in turn, Una Baja. Looking quite aged, the full red paint has started to strip off and has completely faded on certain parts, revealing the metal underneath. The light grey metal makes up the rest of the weapon that wasn't fully painted. The Lady Fist has an unbelievable plus 800% critical hit bonus. The fuck? Making it the most average as fuck Hyperion pistol in the game until you pop some domes.
Fucking meow!
This is the gun that single-handedly made TK Baja the most correct person on Pandora at aim training maps in CSGO. The red text reads, love is a ladyfinger, true love is a lady fist. This references the ladyfinger, the first unique weapon you were given in Borderlands 1. It was the personal firearm of a man called TK Baja, who gifted the gun to his wife. She was eaten by a big-ass skag named Scar, and the gun was buried with her, later picked up by Roland. The quest you get the Lady Fist from continues this story and tells a tragic tale of TK and his wife. The Landscaper. The shotgun Landscaper is manufactured by Torg and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game. It's awarded during the mission Clan War Zaphids vs Hodunks by taking the Hodunk side and not the Zaphids. Taking a metallic and militaristic design, a blue steel pattern covers the whole weapon, with a star symbol on the shell holder thingy-mabob. A very much memed on weapon in the Borderlands community, this gun was once classed as one of the worst weapons in the game, with man of low moral fibre aka Luke taking the stance of being the worst weapon in the game in his opinion.
In my opinion, the worst weapon in the game is the Landscaper. Some of you might not recognize this weapon because you actually have to side with the Hodunks in order to be rewarded this weapon, and calling it a reward is kind of a misnomer because this gun is anything but.
It basically fires 4 tiny grenade mines in a square pattern that then stick to the surface they were fired on, slowly rise upwards and explode after a delay of about 6 seconds. It sucks as it is a very slow firing weapon, the delay of 6 seconds is way too long and the projectiles are stuck in place when fired. In addition to that, it can damage the user, unlike, 99% of all Torg weapons in the game. It just makes no fucking sense. Great concept, horrible application. The red text reads, "Get off my lawn," a reference to the legend himself, Clint Eastwood, in the movie Gran Torino. By the way, I can't believe that geezer's still alive. I know you're probably thinking, well, that's gonna age well. My guy will probably live up to 120. Absolute unit. The Lasso. Pronounced Lasso, not Lascaux, Lascaux, or Lascaux, like I've heard many a time. The SMG Lasso is manufactured by Dahl and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game. It's the most weird and random gun in the game to acquire because you literally find it just laying about in some random ass cave in a pool at Frostburn Canyon. Like its namesake, the Lasso is a light brown colour which represents the rocky walls in a cave with paintings of balls scattered all across it. The third weapon to fit straight into the fucking awesome but why is the spread based on something so awkward category, the Lasso fires bullets in a bull pattern. I mean, I should have seen it coming, right?
It kind of looks like a bull. I mean, kind of looks a bit more like a retarded dog, but...
Gun named after cave with balls in it, balls painted on gun, gun shoot bull pattern. The only way to one-up this is to ride a bull while shooting it while drinking a Red Bull at the same time and talking about bulldozers. I will give you 10k if you can also get a bulldog to do all that at the same time with you whilst on the ball. Because of the spread of the bullets, you kind of have to shoot the gun like a 1914 Lewis gun that hasn't been zeroed in since like the 1950s. Most of the bullets just veer off to the left, so you're better off just using where the previous bullets went to predict where to shoot next. It's a bit funky, but the sights are next to useless, so that's the next best strat. It seems weird to say that, but once you're using the gun, you'll naturally acclimatized to it. It has up to a 14 round burst every time you pull the trigger zoomed in, and only consumes 1 ammo per shot, making it an extremely good choice for Zero, Maya, and Gage. The red text reads, "The Gun of the Bulls." This, along with the gun itself and its design, refers to The Lasso, a cave in France which has old paintings of bulls all around it. You can't go in the original Lasso anymore, unfortunately, but Lasso 2 has been open to the public for years. The Law. The pistol Law is manufactured by Jacobs and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game. It is obtained by being a snitchy bitch in the mission Won't Get Fooled Again at Sanctuary, or by killing Nisha, the Sheriff of Lynchwood. She can lynch on my wall. Looking like your typical Western revolver, a dark oak envelops the trigger in the barrel with a lighter wooden colour on the underbarrel. The body seemingly has an orange, almost rusty appearance, being lighter and shinier than any other part of the weapon. A permanent bayonet is affixed at the front, having a dark gunmetal finish. The same finish is applied to the cylinder, the sight, and the hammer. As the Law has a bayonet attachment every time you pick it up, its perk is clearly to do with getting the stabby pokey, providing you with a hefty plus 100% melee damage bonus. In addition to this, if you manage to pair it with its shield counterpart, Order, get it because Law and Order, you get 25% of the melee damage dished out with the Law back as health, making for a great pairing. Make sure you get the Order before this weapon, otherwise it's well, not useless, but it's kind of a lot worse. Its red text reads, "Didar." If you pair the law's name with the red text, it reads Law-de-da, a play on the not so common expression la-di-da. Honestly, the best thing about the gun is its wordplay. The Little Evie. The pistol Little Evie is manufactured by Maliwan and comes from the Borderlands 2 Pirates Booty DLC by killing Mr. Bubbles and or Little Sis out in the Magnus Lighthouse. Having its super potent and bright colours across the whole weapon, it really stands out, as it should, being a Maliwan weapon. A light blue covers most of it, having an almost dark magenta as a secondary colour, being painted all over the prominent parts. A washed dark green makes up the accents, with purple blotch marks scattered all along the paintwork. As the Evie always comes in shock element, the barrel has gleaming blue light shining through thanks to the Vladov spinny barrel. The magazine also has the same blue gleam, but only on the top of it.
I also didn't notice at the time, but the barrel has little bubbles on it.
The Little Evie is super unique, like more unique than most uniques. God damn, try saying that 10 times fast. More unique than most unique, more unique than The reason for this is that its second perk literally gives you a kill skill for your skill tree. A kill skill. Evie's firing mechanic is similar to most Maliwan weapons, having projectiles that make a large electric explosion on impact, dealing heavy splash damage. It's super satisfying to shoot, and the shock effects fill up your screen like mad if you rapid fire this thing. Pretty sick.
What is going on here?
The major perk with this is when you kill an enemy, it increases your action skill cooldown by 12%. This may not seem massive at first, but it stacks. Meaning 5 enemies and you've just received half of your action skill, boom, bam, all at once, just like that. I cannot undermine how crazy that is. A kill skill to do with your skill cooldown. What the fuck? If that wasn't enough to wrap your measly little head around, there is also an exploit using this perk. The Evie, because of course there is. And it's also really easy to pull off. All you have to do is empty the magazine and quickly swap to and from the gun multiple times whilst it's reloading. This stacks the effect of the gun and instantly recharges a character's action skill after every single kill. So, Maya phase lock, kill an enemy, Maya phase lock instantly, kill an enemy, Maya phase lock instantly. What? That is crazy, bro. I just insta-get it back. Oh my god.
Bro, imagine this with fucking like any other bro, imagine this with like Gage. As soon as Death Trap's gone, you just get a Death Trap instantly back.
The gun as a whole and the enemies you kill to gain it are all a huge reference to the Bioshock series. Little Evie is a reference to Eve, a substance that's used to recharge the ability to use plasmids. Lil Sis and Mr. Bubbles, the enemies you kill, are a reference to Big Daddies and Little Sisters, Mr. Bubbles being what Little Sisters call Big Daddies in Bioshock itself. The red text reads, Shockin', aww, so cute, a reference to the movie Kung Pao. Enter the fist. The Morningstar. The sniper Morningstar is manufactured by Hyperion and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game. It's rewarded after completing the mission Hyperion Contract, #873, out in the Highlands. Looking super clean and like something your nan would probably put up on a shelf in her 2-bedroom bungalow in the middle of fuck off nowhere, the design consists of an aquamarine blue mixed with a pattern that wraps around the entire length of the weapon. A shiny silver covers the metallic parts of the weapon, such as the majority of the scope, the body, and the plate at the front of the stock. Overall, very simple, but absurdly underrated in my opinion. This fucker has the unique ability of guilt-tripping the shit out of you so goddamn hard that you finally decide that your overbearing conscience has run its mental course. You then promptly accept the mission from Jack to off yourself before embracing the sweet scent of death without a second thought. Yeah, the Morningstar is another talking weapon similar to the Bane, but less and more, they had a family, what are you doing?
Don't care.
Giving out super critical and often offending quotes towards you.
You don't like something you should. Daddy.
Hey, you can't say that.
Leaning to in how morally irreprehensible you are as a person and how much your aim sucks ass. Its perk stacks critical damage when you score consecutive hits, increasing by 20% each time. You can only gain the bonus every 5 seconds, but each stack lasts for around 24 seconds, giving you a chance to gain about 5 20% bonuses or a plus 100% crit damage in total before the first stack disappears. If you have Zero's critical ascension skill, which is essentially the same as the Morningstar's ability, but it's a lot easier to stack a fuck ton of them on top of each other, you will blow the enemy's head off so hard that you will give anyone within 10 meters of them crippling PTSD and 2 meetings a week with a local therapist. Oh yeah, it also has a plus 15% damage bonus for being itself. If that shit's boring, who cares? Morningstar, apart from what your mom says to me when she wakes me up at 8 AM, is what Venus was known as during the ancient times. It's also been known as Evening Star as well, due to appearing in the morning for parts of the year, and then doing the old switcheroo and appearing in the evening for parts of the year. It's also a reference to the devil, as another name for the devil is Morningstar. Hyperion is literally calling you Satan. Thank you for Random Individual 948 on my references video for actually covering that up. He mentioned it got a lot of likes, so I thought I'd give him some credit. There is also one more reference about the Morningstar, but you'll have to watch my pop culture reference video to find out about that. The red text reads, "A rose by any other name," a reference to a line spoken in Romeo and Juliet, "A rose by any other name would smell as sweet." The Octo. The shotgun Octo is manufactured by Tidal and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game after completing the quest Slap Happy in the Highlands Outwash. A very simple design here, with the entire weapon being covered in a dark blue. The most significant part being a stretched out, creamy, yellowy coloured octopus above the trigger. The Octo fires a semi-ironic 3x3 square pattern spread that closes in and converges on the middle. Why is it ironic, you must ask? Great question, as always. Well, because the gun is called the Octo, as in octopus, as in 8, and it fires 9 pellets in a spread. Unlike a lot of other shotguns, the Octo is actually quite good at range. This is because of the spread narrowing as opposed to widening out like anything not in the Borderlands universe. Range is the only reason I'd pick this over like most other shotguns though, as you will have to bear the unrelenting pain of holding a Tidal weapon in your hands with no hand sanitizer to wash that dirty peasantry away. Its red text reads, "Octo means 9. Yeah man, makes sense. The Orphan Maker. The shotgun Orphan Maker is manufactured by Jacobs and comes from the Borderlands 2's Pirate Booty DLC. It is rewarded after completing the quest Message in a Bottle in the Oasis. It's classed as one of Captain Blade's cursed weapons. Consisting of 2 separate designs, a full maroon colour paired with lighter red dots evenly spaced out covers the whole body. The rest of the weapon could not be more different however. The barrel is made up of full gold, with 4 large white stripes separating the shiny metal. Gold also covers the rest of the metallic parts of this weapon, with a dark oak wood making up the stock and the grip underneath the barrel. Minus the white stripes this time though. Being one of only 2 cursed guns in Borderlands 2, Captain Blade's Orphan Maker is given the treacherous Curse of the Nefarious Backlash, granting the player a melancholic 850% weapon damage boost, but it deals 5% of the weapon's damage to the player. Not 5% of the player's health coming off, 5% of the weapon's damage to the player. For example, the Orphan Maker I've got here has 5,351,015 damage, meaning that 5% of that, I'm not doing the math, 5% of that is dealt to the player. So it means if you've got a lower level one, it will do less damage to the player. It's worth noting that it does affect your shield first, meaning that if you have a high OP level or have a turtle shield, you want to make sure that you're using this when your shield's up. Otherwise, it will melt through your health. If you fire the weapon super fast or have Zero's 2-Fang skill, which gives him the chance to fire twice, the 5% damage curse will not proc and won't affect you. This is a glitch to do with the game not having enough time to register that a second shot has actually been fired. It will also not proc the 5% damage curse if Salvador has the Orphan Maker in his left hand while gunzerking. Alright mate. The pellet spread of the Orphan Maker is very tight, offering a very accurate long range and high damage shotgun for anyone willing to take on the curse whilst using it.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
Gage will benefit highly from using this for Anarchy, as the mag size is small and the shots will land in the same postcode as the target you're trying to hit, unlike most other shotguns in the game when Gage is using Anarchy. Its red text reads, "Makes orphans often," reference to a line spoken in the opera The Pirates of Penitence. The Pimpernel. The OP as fuck sniper Pimpernel is manufactured by Malawan and comes from the Borderlands 2 Pirates Booty DLC. It's acquired after completing the quest Don't Copy That Floppy in the Washburn refinery. Once more, we have another sand pirate weapon. Being coloured in a faded and mossy brown, the wood making up the weapon looks like it's been washed out at sea for many years, becoming enveloped in green. What looked to be gold is now more of a bronze, seemingly going through discoloration due to exposure to the elements. Defining all Sand Pirate weapons, Scarlet's Pirate Flower and Crossed Swords are located at the rear of the barrel, just in front of the body and below the front of the scope, being medium small-ish in size. Pimpernel. Where do I even start with this weapon? Really quite confusing, this one, and also really good. If used in the right way. With the right prefix. With the right characters. Alright, so we will start off simple. The gun shoots bullets. Alright, not that simple. After hitting something, or someone, a bullet spawns out of nowhere that then rises into the air. This bullet then splits out and fires 5 more bullets in a star-shaped direction, outwards towards anything and everything with a wife and family. The 5 additional bullets can hit enemies twice, but the second hit will do 50% less damage than the first one. In addition to that, it also benefits from a plus 100% critical hit bonus. How is that OP? Shut the fuck up, I'm getting to it. You know Sally, right? Our lovely resident of Pandora and local gun-zerking maniac? Well, you know how he's also the most balanced class in the whole game, with only the most normal skills and ways of playing him? Well, of course you do, everyone knows that. Well, you see, with the Pimpernel, another certain weapon, Salvador can engage in a peaceful, loving, and what the fuck? So, like, explain, please? Oh yeah, it's my video, that's my job. Okay, I'm gonna give you a quick rundown of how Sally works. You want a more detailed guide, then feel free to watch my video explaining all Vault Hunters. After this video though, of course. Thank you. So, when gun-zerking, there is a few important things you need to take into consideration. Number 1, you have to have 2 guns. Number 2, you have a left and a right hand, with 1 gun in your left hand and 1 gun in your right. Numero 3. Your right hand is considered your main hand, because fuck lefties, and your left is your offhand. Okay, fuck the numbers now. The game gets a bit fucky when you put certain guns in your main hand, aka your right hand, and others in your offhand, aka your left hand. Like the Orphan Maker not giving you any damage if you hold the gun in Sally's left hand. The Pimpernel is no different. Whilst holding the weapon in your left hand, the bullets that split off on the Pimpernel somehow take the damage and element of any gun you're welding in your right hand. I don't know what is going on with Salvador's right hand, if it's some welding magic shit. I'm going off script. Don't look at me like that. I didn't develop this fucking game. The initial bullet that is fired from the Pimpernel is still normal though, taking the damage and element of the Pimpernel you have, essentially making the Pimpernel 2 elements and 2 damage types when fired, as long as you aren't welding 2 Pimpernels for some reason.
Are you fucking dumb?
The rocket launcher you saw in the clips of me massacring a small village is known as the Ahab, which we will get to eventually, just like really far down the line. It is one of the highest damage launchers in the game and is also a Torg launcher, meaning it has initial damage plus the explosive damage bonus. You'll find out why you wouldn't just use a normal rocket launcher by itself when I actually get to it later. All you need to know for now is that it's a sniper with a high fire rate with a 100% crit hit bonus that can also come in slag. So that, pairing with the splitting bullets taking the damage of the launcher, means it causes the most broken Sally build this side of Pandora. It is worth mentioning that this is a glitch though. Some of the community see it as a cheesy way to play Sally because they see it as too easy and exploiting the game's mechanics, whilst others, including me, say, fuck it, do whatever you want, I don't care. Okay, well that was a lot to take in. We can finally now move on to another weapon. Done? We're not done. What do you think this is? A video about not explaining every gun? It's a zero talk by Dobby Wanker. Fuck's sake. Alright, so Zero, okay. When using Zero's Bore skill, which allows you to penetrate through enemies with stacking damage for each one shot through, plus the Pimpernel, you can potentially bore a lot of the split off bullets through enemies and out of their crit hit spot, dealing more damage than your standard headshot would. With size, it gets easier. Story of my life right there. The bigger the enemy, the better this strat works. Say 3 bullets hit the crit hit spot of a Nomad, you'll do base damage, plus 3 more base damage values, with all dealing headshot damage. Hard to pull off, but once again, easier the bigger the crit spot is. Oh my fucking god, I just broke the game. I think my game just crashed. Oh. What? Oh my game actually legit just crashed. What the fuck? Oh my god. People say Zero's bore is broken. And I didn't believe they meant it would literally break the fucking game. What the hell? That's crazy, bro. Oh my god. Zero's velocity skill has another level here too. It increases the speed of projectiles, meaning if you have a lot of points in it, the split off bullets will fly fuck up high and fuck off super fast, making it hard as balls to hit anything normal sized. Bosses like Hyperius and Willy make it easier to hit shots with, but it's probably worth not investing in velocity when you're using this gun with Zero. Let's look at this clip by SF once more in slow motion. You see how he's gathering all the bots together with a nade and essentially hitting the bots in their non-existent ball sacks? Well, that's because the bullet that splits into 5 travels upwards, meaning he has to shoot a bit lower to hit Hyperius through the bots. Shooting him through the bots causes bore to happen. Hitting him with pretty much all the bullets and crit hits deal absolutely massive damage, essentially killing Hyperius instantly, which is why you might be a bit confused as to why he just dies straight away. Unlike the Pimpahab glitch, which is the rocket launch plus the Pimpernel, this is just a seriously legit method to using Zero and the Pimpernel together in a really sick way. Thanks for SF for the clip, by the way. I don't know if that's how you pronounce the name, but yeah, it's a really sick kill. I love it. I use it in one of my other videos as well. Hopefully all my non-stop blabbering is understandable. The Pimpernel is it's a complicated gun to use, let alone for me to then explain to people how to use it. The red text reads, "Sink me!" a reference to the character, the Scarlet Pimpernel, a nobleman from England who would sometimes yell, "Sink me!" for some fucking reason. Moving on, please. Like 1,000 words just for one gun. Holy spirits, how long is this video going to be? The Pocket Rocket. The pistol Pocket Rocket is manufactured by Torg and comes from the Borderlands 2 Campaign of Carnage DLC. You buy in a vending machine.
I agree.
Reminding me of a 1950s American racetrack, a dirty light blue makes up the majority of the weapon. Red is the secondary, with the rear being more of a dirty dark red, and the front being a lot cleaner and brighter. A gunmetal makes up the space around the cylinder, having the Torg logo covering the bottom right just above the grip. The iconic checker box is of course present, being located on the barrel, giving it the signature Torg look we all look for and love. The design is the standout with this weapon, being the only different thing you will notice about it when you first pick it up and start shooting. It's kind of bland for a Torg gun, honestly. Its unique perk is simply stat buffs, having increased damage, projectile velocity, magazine size and explosion radius, and consuming 2 ammo per shot. Other than that, it's your usual blue Torg weapon. Certainly a looker, but you kind of get what you pay for with this guy, seeing as how you literally buy it for pocket change at a fucking gasoline-powered vending machine. A good gun for sure, especially with the velocity bonus if you have Zero or Maya, but nothing that will blow your socks off like your typical Torg unique would. Kind of disappointing. Hey, its name's fun though. Pocket Rocket. Being the best starting hand you can get in Texas Hold'em poker, that being a pair of aces.
What did you just put in your pocket? What was, no, I saw you put something in your pocket. What was that? What did you put in there? What was it that was in your pocket though? Because it seemed interesting. It seemed like really interesting. What was it? No, you can tell me. You can tell me. Just tell me what's in your pocket. But turn your pockets out really quick. Turn them out. Just turn them out.
What is in your pocket?
Its red text reads, "Did you ever have the feeling?" in reference to gambling, probably. The Rapier. I put please don't mispronounce that, I beg, in the script. The assault rifle Rapier is manufactured by Vladoff and comes from the Borderlands 2 Pirates Booty DLC. You find it after completing the quest Message in a Bottle, Haters Folly in Haters Folly. It's classed as one of Captain Blade's cursed weapons. Comprising a mostly dark brown, the Rapier has a theme of a sunken pirate ship. The metal on the gun is very worn out, having an abundance of purple and green coating the majority due to an excessive exposure and abandonment, most especially seen on the permanently affixed bayonet underneath the barrel. 4 vertical white stripes are seen on top of the wooden brown, located along the barrel. They are surprisingly clean for a weapon that seems to have been forgotten about and left to rot for many years. Being the second of the cursed guns in Borderlands 2, Captain Blade's Rapier is given the treacherous Curse of the Porcelain Fist. The bayonet on the underbarrel deals plus 200% melee damage, being the most devastating melee weapon in the entire game. For this astounding damage given by the blade, you are cursed to become weaker up close, taking increased melee damage from all sources. Using this gun as a gun is not the play here. Fuck! You're going to want to basically do your best to cosplay a British World War I soldier on the first day of the Battle of the Somme, aka slowly walk towards your enemy with so much equipment in your backpack you can barely move, a bayonet that does plus 200% melee damage, and shit in your pants. That's actually true though, by the way. The Brits really did do that. Except the plus 200% damage bonus, I think. Basically, you're just going to want to utilize the melee damage of this gun because the actual gun is kind of shit, having much lower damage numbers compared to many other blue assault rifles.
I like to hear your bitches, bitches, you read your voice for a pint in a bloody well fucking skull.
The only exception to this is if you have a slag rapier, as you can shoot the enemy to proc the slag debuff. It's not a very high chance, but it's the best element you can get on it for sure.
Where are you going? Stop running away!
The Rapier also has the rare bonus of not being restricted to only one accessory. Its first slot is always given to the bayonet, of course, leaving the second slot open to be any other accessory variants. Would be funny if you could get 2 bayonets like Bandit SMGs, but poo all over my dreams why don't you gearbox. Krieg and Zero are your options for this guy, with Zero having many ways to avoid melee attacks and deal massive melee damage back, and Krieg is Krieg, usually having a much higher base melee than most guns, but this bayonet actually gives you a boost over that, because Krieg usually goes up to 180% melee damage, but the Rapier gives you 200%, so it's a no-brainer. That, plus all the skills you can stack onto Mania. Useless fact, by the way, it can only come with 2 sights, the Vladov sight or the Torg one. If it doesn't have either of those sights, it'll just be an iron sight. You're never going to use them anyway. I don't see why you'd aim down sights with a gun that you're not going to use as a gun, you're just going to melee people with, but who the fuck cares? The red text reads, as I end the refrain, thrust home, a line spoken in the play Cyrano de Bergerac, where the main character embarrasses his opponent while fighting him, as he comes up with a poem at the same time. The Rex. The pistol Rex is manufactured by Jacobs and comes from the Borderlands 2 Big Game Hunt DLC by defeating Bullstot at Hunter's Grotto. It is also classed as one of Sir Hamlock's hunting weapons. A very attractive high-class looking revolver, the Rex is comprised of solid gold with sapphire accents covering the outer layer of the body and a line on the barrel. The underbarrel and grip are both made up of a dark striped wood, giving a somber vibe to the gun. Being a Chere-Amie lock hunting weapon, as you would expect, the Rex has his logo slapped on the left side, being just behind the cylinder and in front of the hammer. Unlike 99% of Jacob's weapons, the Rex does not fire as fast as you can pull the trigger. Lies.
Come on! Come on! And that's the magazine.
This makes it super unusual and unnatural to use, as you just keep spamming mouse 1 and it won't fire fast enough. This is offset by a massive plus 220% boost to base damage of the weapon and a somewhat respectable plus 40% critical hit bonus. You don't want to root and toot with this weapon unlike many others, taking more of a backseat role and quietly spamming shots from a distance, much like is the theme with many hammerlock weapons in Borderlands 2. Knowing this, you'll definitely want a variant of the Rex which comes with a long-range scope, such as Malawan or Jacob's one. Scopes are not guaranteed, however, so I would definitely keep farming until you get one. Trust me, it's worth it in the end. Also keep in mind that this isn't a sniper rifle. I mean, if you hadn't already guessed that from this means the bullets aren't as fast, the scopes aren't as long range, and the crit hit bonus isn't as high, even with the plus 40%, so use Zero please. Unfortunately, for me anyway, the slow fire rate is just such a pain to get used to and will really let you down in those moments where you really need that one extra bullet like right now and not next Tuesday. It's a shame because I do like the idea of Jacob's weapons that have massive damage but slow fire rate, but when it's given to me on a plate, I just can't find myself finishing it. The gun also looks amazing, which is just a cherry of shame on top of the pie of disappointment. The red text reads, basically, it's a big gun. The Roaster. The launcher Roaster is manufactured by Bandit and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game. It is rewarded after completing the quest Note to Self Person in the fridge. This bandit rocket launcher is coloured in a simple orangey brown, darkening the further towards the barrel you get. The metal parts are yellow mixed with green, looking like it's suffering from oxidization. The most appealing and noticeable feature of this weapon is of course the turquoise graffiti scattered all over, with text like big, hot, arg and never? Honestly, what the fuck does that say? Someone please enlighten me because I am none the wiser. What perplexes me about this weapon is that it's called roaster, right? Implying some sort of heat, like fire. It also literally has the word hot all over it, and its red text says toasty. Fucking toasty. You would then come to the logical conclusion that this weapon would only come in fire. Nah, it comes in all the elements, like literally all of them. Like what?
That just makes no fucking sense.
The roaster, being a bandit weapon, has an increased mag capacity compared to your typical launchers. That, plus the two factors of firing 3 projectiles per shot and only consuming 1 ammo for that, makes a very good rocket launcher for spamming at enemies without consuming a lot of ammo. Like most bandit weapons though, it also has a generally lower base damage, even compared to some of the bandit launchers that are also blued. The status effects perks are also really nice, granting an increased chance of proccing the effects and dealing more damage when they do.
I'm gonna get you in about 5 minutes. Give me a sec. We'll get you. Oh, here we go. Come on. Yeah. Haha. So chippy.
Honestly, I completely forget the roaster exists. It's a gun you kind of have to go out of your way to get. You need to complete a side quest that allows you to kill Laney White, then go back to the fridge, through a boatload of enemies, then wait for a specific Goliath to spawn and drop the mission on the floor for you to do, then do the mission, then get the gun. It's just not worth the time taken for me, and overall it's just got kind of poor perks compared to other things. Unless you're a super needy person and desperately want a rocket launcher right after you get to Sanctuary when it's in the air, just wait till you get to the Iridium Blight and get a certain other rocket launcher from King Monk. The red text reads toasty. Fucking toasty. The Roksalt, with no C of course, because fuck literacy. You didn't see it, but I spelt fuck without seeing the script. The shotgun Roksalt is manufactured by Bandit and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game after completing the mission Splinter Group in the Bloodshot Stronghold. A fading red is the primary colour here, with it turning into more of a yellow on certain parts, showing how unmaintained it really is and like it's been left out in the sun too long. If that wasn't enough, look towards the front of the barrel, which shows a splatter of blood that covers a small part of the front and has travelled a bit rearward, as splatters tend to do. Much like the previous weapon and a few others, nothing much screams out to you when you first get your hands on the Roksalt. It's essentially another example of a unique that just has stat buffs and is slightly better than your typical Blue Bandit shotgun. Its boosts include having increased accuracy, reload speed, fire rate, and damage, making it okay to use.
Shut up with your ugly ass. What you think you doing in my—
Look, it's a gun that fires bullets. Good bullets. Bullets that are better than average. It's a working man's unique, you know. Nothing super special, but it's aight. And that's okay. Alright, moving on. Its red text reads, don't retreat. Instead, reload. A quote by Sarah Palin. Oh, Ruby, 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 Ruby. The pistol Ruby is manufactured by Malawan and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game. It is acquired after completing the mission Rackaholics Anonymous by turning in the mission to Moxie instead of Mordecai. Another one of Moxie's magical Malawan weapons. Ruby has a dominant red colour, with the metal being tinted with a purpley pink. A teal colour is the tertiary, being seen on small lines all across the weapon. The Mad Moxie logo is painted on the barrel, as well as having a Moxie portrait on the bottom of the magazine and protruding onto the body. You guys should know the deal by now. Moxie weapon, healing properties, with Ruby giving you a modest plus 12% lifesteal to all damage dealt whilst welding it. It's on the higher side of lifesteal for Moxie weapons, and while you may think that's higher because it's a pistol and assault rifles have more bullets and shoots faster, you gotta remember it's all damage dealt whilst welding the weapon, not damage dealt by the weapon that heals you. Other than that, it's kinda just your budget Grog Nozzle that comes in all elements and has a plus 15% crit hit damage. Very good for someone like Sally to take advantage of, and is great for a grenade-centric accident too. Ruby itself was actually in Borderlands 1, but not as a weapon you could use. In the DLC for Borderlands 1, The Secret Armory of General Knox, Moxie can be seen with Ruby on her hip, distinguished by the fact it literally says fucking Ruby right on it. She ended up losing it after the events of Mad Moxie's Underdome riot, and Mordecai finds it for her, which kind of explains why he gets so pissed off that Moxie will give you Ruby if you gave the boost to her and not him. Well, that and he's a raging alcoholic, so of course he'd want 10 barrels of free beer. The red text is way too long and reads, "Whenever I'm caught between two evils, I take the one I've never tried." A quote from the 1936 movie Klondike Annie, spoken by actress Mae West. The Sandhawk. The SMG Sandhawk is manufactured by Dahl and comes from the Borderlands 2 Pirates Booty DLC. It is given to you after completing the mission Whoops at the Washburn Refinery. Sand pirate weapon again, baby! Having a very similar design and vibe to the Pimpernel, a faded brown is the standout here, with a slightly less apparent and reduced amount of mossy green all over. The wood making up the weapon looks like it's been out at sea for many years, degrading and washing away any colour the gun may have had previously. The metallic parts have had the tint of sun-bleached yellow, adding further to the age signs of the Sandhawk. Pirates' flower and crossed swords are of course prevalent, this time just above the magazine and slightly behind the trigger, making it low-key hard to see unless you reload the gun. Finally! A gun that isn't in the fucking awesome but why is the spread based on something so awkward category, but more the it's based on something you would think makes sense and actually does make sense once you use it category. The Sandhawk's perk is that it fires 8 very slow horizontal projectiles in a bird-like pattern that also move like said bird is flapping its wings, flying off into the distance. They are grouped very close together, making a lot of accurate firepower for a weapon that only consumes 3 ammo per shot and fires in a nice burst once zoomed in. It's worth noting that even though it comes in 3 ammo per shot and fires 8 projectiles, there isn't a times multiplier for the gun, meaning each projectile will deal damage if you have an amp shield equipped. This is one of the main reasons as to why the Sandhawk is extremely effective in Ultimate Vault Hunter mode and is very popular with players. A shield like the B, which gives you unlimited amp damage as long as it remains full, is the perfect pairing for any weapon with a fuck ton of projectiles and especially the Sandhawk. A negative to the Hawk if you aren't playing a character like Zero, Maya or have the flying prefix on the gun is that the bullet speed is kinda slow. Like, slow. Meaning, unlike a lot of other weapons with multiple projectiles like shotguns, you will really have to lead your target and be careful with your shots as to not miss, because it can be quite easy to if you have a fast moving target. The hit fire rate is also pretty ass, so make sure to keep yourself zoomed in at all times for the love of all that is holy. Weirdly enough, Gage's Anarchy barely does anything to affect the spread of the weapon. I can't make out if that's some type of glitch, the devs missed a bit of code somewhere, or some mystical power just prevents it from being affected, but I guess we'll never know. Its red text reads, "In," not unlike Errol, a reference to the phrase "in like Flynn," plus the Sandhawk's name itself is a reference to Errol Flynn, an actor who played in many a pirate movies back in the day, including one called The Seahawk.
Say that again?
The Scorpio. The assault rifle Scorpio is manufactured by Dahl and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game. It is rewarded after the quest Bearer of Bad News in Sanctuary. A very standout camo pattern makes up the whole design here, being comprised of mainly bright yellow and various shades of green. The Dahl logo on the magazine is in the same yellow that makes up the primary part of the camo. Your typical Dahl burst is very varied with the Scorpio, being as low as a 4-shot burst and as high as a 9-shot one. Even the lowest burst shot is a lot compared to your usual Dahl burst, so it's not that bad. Hip firing the weapon gives you a random as fuck 30% chance to fire an additional bullet. No idea whether devs thought that would make the gun more effective in any way, but yeah, whatever. The Scorpio is given to you after telling everyone about Roland's passing after he's killed by Jack. The Scorpio itself being named after Roland's Crimson Lance turret.
Listen up, motherfucker, this is the Scorpio speaking. I may not be great at what I do, but I'm definitely a fuck lot better at it than you. If you've got a problem with that, then get the fuck out of my way and don't waste my goddamn time.
It's supposed to be Roland's personal gun, with him welding it in Tiny Tina's Assault on Dragon's Keep cutscenes. But afterwards, he just goes back to using that shitty white rifle again, so...
But what the hell, boy?
I admit, if you saw more of Roland in combat and using the Scorpio, it probably would have been a lot more meaningful to acquire after this mission, but alas, my dreams crushed again. The red text reads, "Say not in grief, he is no more, but live in thankfulness that he was," that being a Hebrew proverb. Shotgun 1340. The shotgun, Shotgun 1340, is manufactured by Hyperion and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game. It is rewarded after completing the mission Out of Body Experience in the Bloodshot Ramparts after taking the loader AI core to Marcus and not Zed. It is literally just your typical blue Hyperion shotgun design-wise, but with an AI core inside of it, being specifically the projectile diversification. That being the case means that no unique design bestows this weapon, having a normal light green primary colour with a yellow stripe on the side. It also never comes in any element either. Basic bitch shit. Talking gun again, guys, you know the drill. This time being the voice of a Hyperion loader that has an AI core shoved into the gun itself. Originally being an exploder, it blows up, leaving the core on the ground for you to pick up. You try putting it in multiple different bodies, including a constructor and a bloody radio, but after it tries to kill you with lasers of death and Taylor Swift music probably, it finally gives you the option to put it in a gun by turning the mission into Marcus. Or a shield by turning in the mission to Zed, but fuck shield, so we took it to Marcus. It has more of a dialed back and chill tone compared to the Bane and Morningstar, with quotes that show that it's clearly enjoying being used as a gun, such as, "Yeah, more bullets, reloading, reload, why'd we stop shooting, more ammo, whoa," and "Ha ha 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 ha, we're on a rampage, I am in robot heaven, fear us puny mortals." Yeah, you get the point. That's it, by the way, as well. Yeah, literally that. I did say it's just a blue Hyperion weapon with a voice inside of it, and I didn't lie. Moving on. Its red text reads, "I like being a gun," which references the fact that the loader likes being a gun. The Sloth. The sniper Sloth is manufactured by Dahl and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game. It is acquired after the mission Rackaholics Anonymous in the Dust if you turn the mission into Mordecai and not Moxie for some reason. The best way to describe the majority of the colour is poo.
I'm joy.
I'm sadness.
I'm anger.
I'm disgust.
I'm poo.
Being made up of two shades of brown. It has a faint digital camouflage pattern, but it's difficult to spot seeing as how the browns are so similar to each other, blending together and requiring a good eye to spot. A dark green makes up the tertiary colour across most of the metal parts, such as the barrel, rail, magazine and scope, with a small amount of red being seen towards the back of the body, spots on the rail, under and on the grip, and on bits of the scope. Its perk gives you a pretty decent plus 70% damage bonus, which puts it quite significantly ahead of most Dahl snipers in terms of raw damage. It does, however, slow bullet velocity down. This may seem like a turn-off at first, but using Zero's velocity and Maya's accelerate skills pretty much negates the effect completely. I wouldn't go near this weapon with a 10-foot barge pole when playing Maya though. The actual name of the gun, Sloth, refers to the perk, being a slow-firing sniper and slow animal respectively. The most forgettable sniper in the whole base game that I just forget about constantly because every sane person just gets Ruby instead. It doesn't even look fucking good. It literally resembles a piece of human skin that's been left out for too long. Miss me with that bullshit. Not exactly the most appealing name either. I know names and shit don't really matter because it's the gun that matters and not the... But still, I'm not picking a gun called Sloth over a gun called Ruby. Its red text reads, "Yeah, booze will do that to you." Referring to picking this over Ruby, only joking, it refers to having a hangover. The Stinkpot. The assault rifle Stinkpot is manufactured by Jacobs and comes from the Borderlands 2 Pirates Booty DLC by killing Nobeard. He doesn't respawn when killed, so actually getting the gun from him is quite different to most bosses. It is classed as a sand pirate weapon. Like most sand pirate weapons, it is comprised of a faded wood as a base, with a fading green tinted metal across the whole body and magazine. It will always come in corrosive, so has green all along the barrel, on the scope, and on small areas of the stock. The pirate's flower and crossed swords are all the way at the back of the body and just above the trigger. As just mentioned, this is a corrosive only weapon, which makes it different already. It's also a Jacobs weapon. As Jacobs pretty much never come in an element, it makes this even more different. If that wasn't enough, it also comes with a Grenadier Torgue barrel, which usually isn't so rare, but the mix of a corrosive Jacobs with a Grenadier Torgue barrel is just... That was the sound of my head exploding. The projectiles consist of grenades that bounce off surfaces and then explode into a cloud of corrosive smoke that deals splash damage and spreads between enemies in close proximity to it. This cloud of green, unlike America in the 1950s, does not discriminate, however, being able to deal damage to the user too, so make sure you never use it too up close. Similar to E-Tech weapons, it suffers from not being able to deal critical hits to enemies, and weirdly enough, even though the projectiles are actual grenades, it doesn't gain any grenade damage boosts, so Axton will probably cry in a corner after using it for 10. It's not all doom and gloom. Even though you can't store crit hits, you can completely ignore the protection of bull and power loaders, ripping straight through the spinny arms and the front blades / shields. One thing that might still be on your mind right now is something I mentioned when I first started talking about the Stinkpot, and maybe something you ran into yourself. The fact that Nobeard, you know, the guy who literally drops the fucking thing, does not respawn. Yeah, a bit of a problem if you want to get the gun. The only way to actually acquire it if you don't get lucky with the 33% drop rate is to kill Nobeard and quit without saving, most commonly done by closing down the game and rebooting it over and over until you manage to get it. Bit shit of Gearbox to get people to resort to doing it this way, but it is what it is, I guess. I assume they wanted it to be a surprise for you to get randomly if you killed him, because you might not get it the first time you play the DLC and just assume he doesn't drop anything because he won't respawn. Either that, or they made him not respawn due to Oasis turning into an enemy-free area after you clear the town. Which, if that was the case, they could have just done a Pyro Pete and been like, oh no, Nobeard's back, how did he do that? Well, better go kill him. The red text reads, "We're pirates. We don't follow the rules," referring to them being sneaky bastards and making a Jacob's weapon corrosive. The Stomper. The assault rifle Stomper is manufactured by Jacobs and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game. It is rewarded after completing the quest Hungry Like the Skag in the Arid Nexus Badlands. A very pronounced diamond pattern makes up the vast majority of the weapon, being a literal third result on Google Images when you search in diamond pattern. The background is a metallic blue mixed with a sea green, and the diamonds are made up of what I believe to be a yellowy cream colour. Honestly, I stared at this weapon for like 2 minutes trying to figure out the colour. I don't know if I'm just stupid or what. This design is seen on the whole body, the outside of the magazine, the rear of the barrel, and the muzzle at the tip of it. A stripy tiger wood makes up the parts you'd expect, covering the whole of the underbarrel, the stock, and the sides of the grip. Being very similar to most Jacobs assault rifles in pretty much all cases, the Stomper has one defining feature that separates it from the rest, that being a boost to critical hit damage. Jacob weapons already come out of the box with a moderate plus 30% crit hit damage, but the Stomper adds onto that by having a further plus 50% crit hit damage on top of that, making for a Lee Harvey Oswald special if you can hit all your shots. The actual name of the weapon is a nod to Borderlands 1, as there were a few combat rifles with the same name. The one here in Borderlands 2, whilst having the same name as these weapons, functions more like the pounder weapon from the first game. It's also worth noting that with Zero's critical ascension, this weapon performs better than a lot of snipers actually would, due to it being able to fire as fast as you can pull the trigger and having a high magazine size, making for a very interesting sniper type weapon for him. Its red text reads, "Oh sorry, was that your head?" in reference to... Only joking. For legal reasons, only joking. The next couple of weapons on the list here only come in one element, which is weird seeing as how I sorted it all in alphabetical order, and like 75% of the one element guns are all grouped up here. But, the Teapot. The pistol Teapot is manufactured by Dahl and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game. It is rewarded to you after completing the mission You Are Cordially Invited, Tea Party. Bitch! This weapon is another example of a Tina masterpiece. With so much pink and white, you'd think I jerked off the Pink Panther. The pattern is mainly comprised of hearts that are scattered all over in different shades of pink and purple, being in various sizes. Ice white covers pretty much everything else, including the top of the barrel, the front and back of the grip, the magazine, the safety switch, the trigger, and the iron sights. As the Teapot always comes in corrosive, a small green circle is seen on the front of the barrel and on the side of the sights. Functioning very similarly to a legendary pistol called the Hornet, the Teapot has the distinction of being a corrosive only weapon, meaning that loaders go to sleep every night with this thing on their tiny little minds. The corrosive bullet fired from the Teapot have an elemental splash effect, dealing 80% of damage given from the weapon. The gun also has increased accuracy, splash damage, and elemental damage compared to your typical dart pistol. Other than that, it's essentially a weaker Hornet. We will get onto the Hornet eventually, but just know this for now. It's better at everything. The Teapot's fire rate, burst count, mag size, and elemental chance are all worse than most Dahl pistols, let alone the Hornet. It still looks sick as fuck though, so can't take that away from it. Its red text reads, "Having a tea party, drinking my tea." A reference to having a good fucking time, am I right? The Teeth of Terramorphous. The shotgun Teeth of Terramorphous is manufactured by Bandit and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game by praying to the lords after killing Terramorphous the Invincible. Look at the drop rate. Oh my days. Look at this beauty, look at it. The entire gun remains unpainted, with the bare gunmetal being exposed. Graffiti is littered all over in typical Bandit style, adding a weathered and used feeling, knowing that many have welded this weapon and left their mark. The cherry on top is the World War II aircraft style teeth painted on the front of the barrel, making for an aggressive and suiting design for a Bandit raid weapon with the name Teeth of Terramorphous. I know it's the same design used with green rarity weapons, but it just suits this weapon so well that I'm willing to excuse the reused texture. It always comes in incendiary, so a blazing orange is seen on the exhausts of the barrel, parts of the magazine, and just behind the underbarrel. The firing mechanic of the Teeth of Terror makes the pattern of teeth biting down on its enemies, firing 2 horizontal lines of 6 bullets that slowly collapse in on themselves. Once the mouth has collapsed, all the bullets explode in a fiery wave. They have incredibly short range, even for a shotgun, reminding me of literally any Call of Duty shotgun where pellets just disappear into thin air after 5 feet for some fucking reason. This makes it extremely well suited to multiple enemies stacked into a small and close area. Bonus points if their flesh smells delicious after killing them. Yeah, like that. Unlike many weapons in this video, this does not fit into the fucking awesome but wise to spread based on something so awkward category. Because 1, it's a dynamic pattern and not just a spread like the other weapons, and 2, it's cool as shit. Just look at it! The red text reads, "His teeth made them flee in shame." This is one part of a 4-line poem, with each other part coming from the other Terramorphous raid loot. The full poem, with the red text from the breath, hide, and the blood of Terramorphous added onto them, reads, "His teeth made them flee in shame. His breath was of fire. His hide turned the mightiest tame. His blood could inspire." No. The Tidal Wave. The shotgun Tidal Wave is manufactured by Jacobs and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game. It is rewarded after the mission Uncle Teddy by being a manipulated little sellout and turning in the mission to Hyperion and not Unabaha. Having a cold and chilling vibe, blue steel coats the entire body, with smaller bits of the weapon like the scope and the back and front of the barrel being the same. The rest of the metal parts of the gun are in your typical silver colour. They include parts of the stock, parts of the grip, the barrel, and the scope. The side of the stock and the grip, as well as the underbarrel, are all wood, being made up of a very dark blue that really ties this design up. Being very similar to the Teeth of Terror in how the firing works, the Tidal Wave fires a horizontal spread of 5 pellets, but this is 7 with the vertical grip accessory. This time being in a, would you have guessed, wave pattern, as opposed to resembling an open and closing mouth like the teeth. They also bounce off one surface, so missing your target doesn't technically mean you've missed a target. The spread is very weird, being very difficult to manage around any enemy that so happens to be vertical and not in a straight fucking line, aka most of them. The line pattern makes it a lot more accustomed to hitting wide boys, like bosses, stalkers, or loaders. Not really my favourite gun, not gonna lie. Its pattern's just so awkward to use and requires specific use, and I just can't be arsed to bend myself to make using this viable. That, plus the same mission gives you the lady fist. Number 1. If you're gonna make me betray my girl Una for my mortal enemy, you better make it worth my time. And number 2, true love is a lady fist, bitch. Its red text reads, "Flee the wave, dude." That, plus the gun itself, is a reference to TK's Wave from Borderlands 1, with the red text of that gun being, "Ride the wave, dude." The one thing that people would notice is the fact that the Wave in Borderlands 2 is a double-barreled Jacobs weapon. This is a reference to the cutscene that first introduces TK Baha in the first game, where he wields a double-barrel shotgun that he starts waving around like he's blind or some shit. The Tinderbox. The pistol Tinderbox is manufactured by Bandit and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game from 3 sources. The original way was by killing Captain Flint in the Southern Shelf. The second way was by shooting the head off a snowman that's telling you to piss off in the Tundra Express. And the third was by killing Flint's bastard offspring Sparky on Wham Bam Island. It's worth noting that Captain Flint will always drop it, the snowman will only drop it during the story in the first playthrough, and Sparky has a 33% chance of dropping it. Representing the name it has and the element it always comes in, the Tinderbox is your typical bandit pistol, being made up of wonky metal parts. The gun itself is entirely coloured in a blazing red, with the metal parts of the weapon having a shining orange gleam to them. Overall, a simple design, but effective, especially for a very early game weapon, and the first guaranteed drop. It always comes in fire, so has glowing orange spots dotted all over. As literally just mentioned, the Tinderbox always comes in fire, shooting slow-firing small fireball projectiles that explode on impact and deal large splash damage. Said explosions deal 100% weapon damage that is also boosted by grenade damage. It's really satisfying to use this gun when first acquired, and it fully shows off how different guns can be in Borderlands 2, but without going full out just yet. It gives the players a taste of what is to come and how unique separate themselves from other weapons. It introduces most to what incendiary damage does to enemies and is a perfect intro in my opinion. The route after you get this gun provides a lot of chances to test it out and burn stupid bullymongs and the local bandits to death. The Tinderbox bears a huge weight for new players getting into the game, and I think it does its job very well. You can also gain the Tinderbox from the Snowman in Tundra Express 2, as I mentioned. It's not super obvious you could shoot the head off to gain the gun, so figuring it out by yourself is a nice surprise. The reasoning behind it being there is due to the mission needing you to set Varkids on fire, and in case you don't have one, there it is. Its red text reads "good for starting fires," in reference to it setting people on fire. But also the gun's namesake, Tinderbox. A Tinderbox, according to Wikipedia, master of all sources, is a small container containing flint, fire steel and tinder, typically charcloth but possibly a small quantity of dry, finely divided fibrous material such as straw, used together to help kindle a fire. So yeah. Moving swiftly. The Trespasser. The sniper Trespasser is manufactured by Jacobs and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game. It is acquired after completing the quest Animal Rights in the Wildlife Exploitation Preserve. Looking very similar to your usual rare Jacobs sniper, the defining feature of this weapon is, as you can probably tell, the orangey red finish that the wooden parts of the gun have, such as the stock, the grip, the scope, and the rear of the barrel. The rest of the gun is covered in metal, seemingly uncared for as it's all dirty, as well as some parts of the magazine and the body being covered in a snotty green colour. The Trespasser's bullets must be made of some magic fantasy fairy shit, because they just decide, shields? Nah, and ignore them completely, passing straight through and dealing damage to any enemy directly. This can make easy work of enemies that have really good shields, but melt like a Neapolitan ice cream that's been left out all night when it's broken. However, do not take this as your golden opportunity to slam a zero sniper build together and try taking on Master Gee. Shit does not work. Trust me, I tried.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
His shield must be made out of fantasy fairy blocking shit. It's not all rainbows and unicorns though with the Trespasser. While the ability to shoot enemies directly through the shield is great, the actual gun aside from that is a bit average. It has reduced damage compared to your typical rare Jacobs sniper, and the velocity of bullets can be quite annoying. You want to avoid enemies like loaders, psychos, and well, anything without a shield pretty much, and aim for enemies like stalkers. Boy, do stalkers hate this. Because their shield is like their whole gimmick, they have large ones, often making up for like 90% of the bastard's overall health. They die so fast after you pop the shield that the Trespasser can easily one-shot stalkers in certain circumstances. Another little weird feature is to do with the vehicles. Grab your trusty Trespasser, get into a car, and bam! That's it. You can now shoot directly through shields with the guns inside the vehicle. The Beast shield does a similar thing where the guns get the amped bonus, which is super useful in Ultimate Vault Hunter mode. Because normally in Ultimate Vault Hunter mode, the car guns are about as effective at killing enemies as Papa Hodunk is at running a marathon. Overall, a very effective sniper that can make a few fights with bosses a lot easier and cheesier, such as Pete by being able to skip his pyrocaustic phase and deal crit hits earlier in the fight, Chief Naguatu during the Veracitus fight, and Wilhelm because you don't have to worry or give a shit about the surveyors recharging his shield for the 10th time in a row. Defo a pickup sniper, even if you don't really use snipers that much. Its red text reads, "I infrequently perish," in reference to Mordecai in Borderlands 1. I mean, you get the gun itself from him, so it kind of makes sense you get a reference to Mordecai there. When he goes down in Borderlands 1, he would occasionally scream, "I never die," which "I infrequently perish" takes the piss out of. The Triquetra. The shotgun Triquetra, or Triquetra, is manufactured by Jacobs and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game. It is acquired after completing the mission Clan War End of the Rainbow in the Holy Spirits. A dark aquamarine is the main colour here, with the metal parts of the gun like the barrel, scope, part of the stock and the rail being in a coal black. The body is entirely composed of a funky green and black wallpaper looking design, being scratched, looking extremely aged and like it's seen a lot of combat. A right Triquetra pattern is seen on the top of the barrel, being very stretched out for some reason. Much like its namesake and the design seen on the weapon, the Triquetra, which is a super tongue twister that I fucking hate saying, shoots a massive spread of pellets in the shape of this, ranging from 19 to 21 projectiles. For 3 ammo consumed per shot, that is pretty fucking unreal, especially when paired with Sally, because of course it's OP with Sally. The fact it also has 6 ammo in the magazine makes it 1, really good for practicing reloads, and 2, really good on an Anarchy Gauge build. Lots of pews and not a lot of shots are a match made in heaven for Gauge. Also, why is everything just good with Anarchy builds on Gauge? Like, what the hell? I kind of think that they're not going to say the name of it again because fuck that. It's actually quite an underrated shotgun. The high pellet count, which at times 21 for the Rustler's prefix, is actually the highest in the base game you can get, by the way. The low ammo consumption, the fact that you can wham the 2 shots you get from it as fast as you'd like, and the honestly pretty nice design you get from it and the naming scheme makes for an overall alright unique. Nice. The red text reads, "Good things kill in threes," in reference to the gun being a triple barrel shotgun, the name of the gun, and the quote, "Good things come in threes," aka my nickname. The word Triquetra, or Triquetra, is actually translated to the word triangle in Latin, or 3 corners. It's also the name of a Celtic symbol known by a few other names, such as the Trinity Knot, Celtic Trinity Knot, and the Holy Trinity. This relates to the mission you get it in, as these symbols were commonly used by Irish Celtic pagans during the 7th century, and the Clan War contains a fuck ton of Irish bastards that hate a fuck ton of redneck bastards. Clan War End of the Rainbow, where you kill a leprechaun, get a lot of money from him, and then get a gun with old Irish symbols on. Sounds about right to me. The Twister. The shotgun Twister is manufactured by Jacobs and comes from the Borderlands 2 Big Game Hunt DLC. It is rewarded to you if you somehow manage to spawn in the awkward little piss rat that is Omidomidok. Blue. Sums up the weapon pretty nicely, I think. Blue. A blue steel makes up the entire body, with the wood on the stock and the barrel being dyed in a dark blue. This dark blue is also seen on the sight, so it's not just the wooden parts that took the colour. As this gun always comes in shock, the exhaust on the barrel, dots on the stock, and the rear of the scope are all covered in a shiny and glowing light blue. Another weapon that has the weird distinction of being an elemental Jacobs. I always enjoy things like this in Borderlands because it interrupts the status quo and gets you thinking what other wacky and unusual guns they could make that you typically wouldn't think possible. So with the name Twister, I would wonder what special ability the gun has. Oh. The Twister twists, making the pattern of a wide tornado that condenses and gets closer together the further the projectiles travel. After hitting a surface, they make a little electrical explosion, dealing 40% of the weapon's damage through splash damage. The explosions are also boosted by grenade damage. Big up Paxton. This screams bore to me. As all the pellets are condensed together, move slowly, and there are quite a few of them, it makes a perfect combo for getting most of them to penetrate enemies, deal that oh so sweet bonus damage, and even hit the same enemy multiple times. The tornado moves so slow, it can deal bore damage to the enemy it literally just bored. Mad. The fact the gun only comes in shock means that you will have to manage how you play with the weapon around that, making great use of it to deal with anyone or anything dumb enough to think their shitty Anshin shield will protect them from a spinning ball of exploding electric death. Let us all talk about the badass savage-shaped elephant in the room now. Doc. I said about it in my video explaining every unique enemy and boss, and I'll say it again. You know a boss is fucky when it's actually harder to spawn the bastard in than it is to fucking kill him. Triple O is just one of them bosses that I cannot be fucked trying to get to appear, and then praying once I've actually killed him he drops the Twister. It's a 33% drop rate, sure, but I'll be damned if I'm trying that more than once before saying, fuck that, the Twister ain't worth it, giving up and doing literally anything else. The red text reads, putting trouble on the run. A reference to a song by artist Sam Cooke called Twistin' the Night Away, with the whole line being, here, they have a lot of fun putting trouble on the run. Now for the last blue unique before the purples and E-Techs, that being Veritas. The pistol Veritas is manufactured by Vladov and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game after completing the mission Clan War Wakey! Eggs and bacon. Okay, there's no eggs and bacon on the end of that. The Veritas consists of purple, blue, and gold. The main colour seems to be blue, with a slight blend of purple on most parts of the weapon. The barrel has the most prominent mix, having a solid purple slowly transition into the blue and purple together. The entire underneath of the body is comprised of gold, having the frame, the area around the trigger, the scope, and the rear sight covered in it. 2 lines of text are seen on the side of the barrel, displaying 2 words in Latin, that being Veritas and Aquitas respectively, one representing the truth, Veritas, and one representing justice, Aquitas. Another looker that is unfortunately kinda ass, at least for anyone who isn't rocking around with 4 hombres at all times. The weapon gives you a plus 10% crit hit damage and a plus 10% fight for your life duration, with every additional Veritas pistol or Aquitas shield equipped in your party, giving you a further 10% boost to critical hit damage and 10% boost to fight for your lifetime. This could potentially give you up to a 80% boost in both, if all members of your party have both the shield and the pistol equipped. My only problem with that is, who the fuck is going to do that? First of all, you need to have friends. Sad. And secondly, you gotta make sure they have both the shield and the pistol equipped at the same time, which you get from the same mission, by the way, so you can either pick one or the other, not both, and then pray you actually want to use them, and then pray they actually want to use them at the same time. I could see this being a funny hahaha Lil Gas Mask 666 Borderlands run with his mate, but honestly, who thought this would be a legit strat that people would actually want to do? It's not even a good fucking pistol, and even if 4 people have everything equipped, 80% crit hit damage is like fuck all, especially when you know enemies have scaled for 4 players. Shit show. Honestly, just get a Lady Fist or a Fibber pistol if you want to get a pistol with good crit hit damage like the rest of us do. Jesus Christ. Calm. I am calm. Breathing exercises. It's red text, the text on the side of the gun, and the name of the pistol and the shield are all references to the Boondock Saints. Should have stopped at 1, the red text, is a joke about the fact they should have stopped making them after the first one. It's also a quote from the first movie. The text on the side of the gun and the name of the shield and pistol, Aquitas and Veritas, are the tattoos that the main characters of Boondock Saints have on their hands. Now let's just move on to the purple and the E-Tech uniques now. Only 5 a pop, which isn't a lot, but that kind of makes them more special and unique in a way. Also, don't ask me why the purple ones even exist. The E-Techs make sense because, well, E-Tech, but I can't find a single reasoning as to why these 5 purple uniques are purple. They seem to be very similar, if not the same, to many of the blue uniques I've just covered, but whatever, Gearbox. They're all SMGs too, which isn't anything crazy, but it is weird. If any of y'all can come up with a reasoning behind this, be my guest, I'd love to know. Let's just do them. The Bad Touch. The SMG Bad Touch is manufactured by Malawad and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game. It is rewarded to you by being a simp for Moxie. Mad Moxie weapon here again, being comprised of pretty much entirely red, with the Moxie logo being on the side of the gun just in front of the magazine. Moxie's portrait covers the whole magazine, with white swirls all around her. This gun only comes in corrosive, and because of this, a bright green box is seen at the front of the barrel, a small green line is seen above the Moxie logo, and a tiny green dot is seen on the stock. Being the worst of the two SMGs Moxie pulls out of her bazongas, explains why it's still warm, the Bad Touch is the slightly retarded younger brother of Miss Moxie's other SMG, the Good Touch.
Yo, is this person fucking retarded?
Yes.
You can only gain 2 Bad Touches per playthrough though, both being before the mission A Damn Fine Rescue. After that, Moxie will only give you the Good Touch.
How generous of you. Here, this is my favorite gun. You'll understand when you use it.
Hurry up! Hurry up! Hurry up!
Can't believe I just said that with a straight face. With it being a Moxie weapon, innuendo, sex, healing and all that. With a measly 2% of damage inflicted with this weapon actually healing you. That's not the main perk of this though. The plus 70% critical hit damages. Seeing as how you can get this gun pretty much as soon as you enter Sanctuary, as long as you've got the dough and don't mind being a little tier 3 sub, being able to get a corrosive SMG with really good damage, crit hit bonuses, and elemental damage that early in the game is pretty substantial in my opinion. If you can get that and a cat class mod for Maya just before A Damn Fine Rescue, you can deal with the entire Bloodshot Ramparts area and the fucking so annoying Warden really easily, which I hated when I used to first play the game. So get that, don't suffer, don't be me, don't be an idiot. Do what I say, not what I do. Other than that, it's just a pretty decent corrosive SMG. Better than the rare Maliwan SMG that's called Venom, and the only unique Maliwan SMG that comes in corrosive, so it's 100% worth getting. Especially since it's so easy. Well, physically anyway. You don't have to like move anywhere to get it, you just stand there and press a button to tip her. But you kind of have to bear the mental weight of knowing that you're being a grade A simp. The red text reads, "When I'm good, I'm very good." Sex, but also a reference to the My West movie I'm No Angel, with Miss Moxie's Good Touch having the other half of the quote. The Bone Shredder. The SMG Bone Shredder is manufactured by Bandit and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game by killing Bonehead 2.0 and from the Borderlands 2 Assault on Dragon's Keep DLC by killing Arguk the Butcher. A dark and light grey makes up the whole of the weapon's colour. The dark grey is on the non-metallic parts of the weapon like the middle of the body, the scope and the barrel, with the light grey making up all of the metallic parts, including the magazine, the improv Bandit features on all of the body, the stock, the rails, most of the grip and the iron sights. A small splatter of a red liquid is seen at the front and the bottom of the barrel, which I suspect is not strawberry jam. Having the perfect name and perk to match its Bandit manufacturer, the Bone Shredder shoots like firing 3 projectiles in a super inaccurate pattern, but a fuck ton of them at that. The epitome of, if I fire 100 rounds, something's gotta hit 'em right. The 3 projectiles only consume 2 ammo per shot too, making it shoot 50 times for 150 projectiles in a 100 round magazine. That's what I like to call Borderlands maths. It shares a very big similarity to SMGs like the Slagger, Sandhawk, Tattler and the Lascaux in being the only SMGs in the game to output more projectiles per shot than ammo consumed per shot, making them some of the best guns if you like a fuck ton of lead down range whilst not breaking the bank with ammo consumption. Bone Shredder itself is also a gun that returns from Borderlands 1, with it being a Tidal brand weapon in that game as opposed to being Bandit. Seeing as how Bandit didn't exist in the first game, makes sense. It also looks extremely similar to the previous Bone Shredder, explaining why it kinda looks pretty bland and boring for a unique Bandit weapon. Sorry designers, but it is. Its red text reads, "The lead wind blows," in reference to the gun firing a fuck ton of bullets, and also being the same red text the original Bone Shredder in Borderlands 1 had. The Good Touch. The SMG Good Touch is manufactured by Maliwan and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game by also being a simp for Moxie. Your typical Moxie purple colour here, being slightly lighter than the other purple Moxie SMG, the Crit. The secondary colour is also different, being entirely composed of ice white, filling in around 70% of the magazine and even having the Moxie logo changing to match. Said Moxie logo is located just in front of the magazine, with Moxie's portrait being on the magazine itself, like usual. The Moxie weapon always comes in incendiary, so because of that, an orange box is seen at the front of the barrel, a small orange line is seen above the Moxie logo, and a tiny orange dot is seen on the stock. Being the literal fire version of the Bad Touch and the good SMG, few things apart from the design and the elemental type are different here. One of them is your usual Moxie lifesteal, being 2.5% when damaging enemies with this weapon as opposed to only 2% for the Bad Touch. I don't really think it makes a difference. It's 0.5%. Anyway, another is that it has a slightly lower chance to proc the elemental effects compared to the Bad Touch, but it has a higher elemental damage overall. And the third one is a very weird one indeed that you would not have noticed if you only play on PC with a mouse and keyboard only. The gun will literally turn your controller into a vibrator.
Yep, you heard that right.
Whilst holding the gun, it will seemingly continuously vibrate even after you've stopped shooting. One of the coolest fourth wall breaks I've seen in an FPS on a gun ever. Like, what other game does this? Unfortunately, it doesn't give you bonus accuracy, ladies, so it's not worth it. Just lay off. The rest of the stats like damage, accuracy, plus 70% crit hit bonus, etc. are all the same though, being an exact copy. As long as you have the same prefix, of course, otherwise it really depends. For some stupid reason, the best prefix on a Miss Moxie weapon is an impetuous prefix, not the Miss Moxie prefix. What do you mean? Much like what I mentioned with the Bad Touch, it's honestly just a very decent SMG, being easy to obtain, once again physically, not mentally, and it's a great choice for a fire weapon early game. If you want something similar but kinda better, I've got a legendary Fire Maliwan SMG that I'll get into later. Just gotta wait and see. Its red text reads, "But when I'm bad, I'm better. Set." Again, it's just the second half of the Bad Touch quote from the movie I'm No Angel. The Orc. The SMG Orc is manufactured by Bandit and comes from the Borderlands 2 Assault on Dragon's Keep DLC. It is rewarded after completing round 5 of the Magic Circle of Slaughter in Merlin's Temple. Where to start with this weapon's design? A messy mix of green and a rusty orange serves as the base, with it covering the main parts of the gun like the body, stock, scope and grip. The rest is made up of a dark grey metal, looking extremely rusted over and left in disrepair. Parts like the magazine, barrel, the weird thingy holding the sight up, and the grip are all in need of a good amount of TLC. A reddish pink skull is painted on very sluggishly, located on the side of the weapon in the middle of the body. Overall, a very handmade and disregarded looking design with a very Fallout-y vibe to it. The Orc's special ability relates to being a gambling man and winning a gazillion dollars, as long as you don't quit, because come on man. Every 6 seconds that you hold the Orc in your hand, you have a small but not insignificant 26% chance of receiving one of 5 buffs. Now listen up. Those are a 50% fire rate increase, a 50% extra shot chance, which adds even more chance to the pot, I swear I'm just dedicated, 17% extra gun damage, 10% extra reload speed, aka you'll cut your reload time in half, and a chance to split your projectiles into 2 upon bouncing them off the surface. The bonus lasts for 6 seconds before starting the whole shebang again and keeping you hooked. That's how they get you. Lots of gambling shit here, but honestly, where the fuck else am I going to use these gambling quotes? Like, just give me a break. A reset to the 6 seconds can immediately be started if you reload, swap weapons, or open a menu, so keep that in mind if you get shit perks or stack multiple Orcs together. If you manage to get a buff and switch weapons, or have the Orc equipped on Salvador whilst gunzerking, it gives whatever perk you get to the other gun that you are using, making it have some very interesting combinations. Say double fire rate on both guns, you'll technically get quadruple fire rate, and that's it. Just make sure you get the bullets go faster, rustified prefix, and then jog the fuck off. The red text reads, "Have I achieved worth yet?" which is a direct quote from the Discworld novel Unseen Academicals. Now we're moving on to the E-Tech uniques. Finally, something decent. Once again, only 4 of these though. Weird, I don't know why they'd have that little amount, but yeah, screw me, I guess. Dominator. The E-Tech pistol Dominator is manufactured by Dahl and comes from the Borderlands 2 base game after completing the mission The Lost Treasure in Sawtooth Cauldron, aka the Frame Killer map. Apart from a few spots, the entire gun is coloured in what seems to be Vladoff silver, having a very simple design overall. Being defined by its E-Tech nature, the barrel is the standout here, having flaps sticking out the sides similar to Hyperion weapons, and that one dinosaur from Jurassic Park, you know which one. A small red dot is seen on the barrel, and many parts of the gun can be coloured in red also, depending on the attachments you have. As this weapon always comes in corrosive, small parts are always in a bright green, those being tiny part on the side of the scope, the circle being behind the trigger on the grip, and the edges of the flaps, with the tips of said flaps being red. Insert funny joke here. The Dominator is very similar to your typical E-Tech dart pistol, being pretty much the same in all regards, having the only distinction of always coming corrosive. In case you forgot what dart pistols do, let me just give you a quick recap. Dart pistols fire a slow-moving projectile that bounces off surfaces and homes in on enemies, sticks onto them for a few seconds, and then goes pow, dealing major splash damage. You'll be very familiar with this if you've ever played Halo Combat Evolved and used the Spiker, cause who hasn't played that game and not picked up the glowing purple crystal weapon? Some would say this weapon sucks, as it only comes in one element. It really isn't that different to a normal dart pistol, can't crit hit, takes a while to explode, and you can't really compete for a lot of, well, any of Ultimate Volton's mode.
Oh no, this is gonna be really bad if that's just a normal loader. Oh my fucking god. No, go away. Fuck off.
Yes, the Dominator isn't gonna fuck your enemies into next week, but I do believe it has a lot of uses and is effective as long as you know what you're doing and how to use it.
Like not using a cat class mod with a pistol, you idiot. Try this again. Right, okay. Let's try it again. Sheriff's Badge, Legendary Siren class mod. It's just trash, bro. Nah, bro. Fuck what I said in the script, man. This gun is trash.
Compared to the negatives I just listed, let's fire off some positives of using this gun, shall we? The projectiles ricochet can hit enemies whilst you're behind cover, deal massive splash damage, bull loaders and power loaders can't block it, homes in on surveyors and buzzards. It's very effective for second winds, looks sexy when firing. See? If that isn't a reason to use it, I don't know what is. Gotta make sure you're using a good character though. Someone like Zero is gonna have no benefits from this weapon, as he's all about projectile speed, accuracy, and crit hit damage, which will do sweet fuck all for this gun. So make sure you're using someone like Gage, or okay, so just Gage. The ricocheting projectiles and the fact that the darts home in on enemies make a great choice for Anarchy. You basically just spam fire in a small room and wait for the enemies to die. It's a pretty good strat in my opinion. One of those guns that kind of makes you just have to adjust slightly how you play, but that's E-Tech, baby. The red text reads, "Dodge this," in reference to when Trinity absolutely game ends Mr. Smith in the 1999 movie, The Matrix. It's the Sword Explosion. The E-Tech Shotgun Sword Explosion is manufactured by Torgue and comes from the Borderlands 2 Assault on Dragons Keep DLC. It is acquired after the quest The Sword in the Stoner at the unassuming docks of potentially little importance. Having a very un-Torgy and more Darly vibe here, the Sword Explosion is covered in the common Dahl camo. Yeah, like literally the exact same texture, for real. It covers the stock, grip, side of the extra shell holder thingy, the magazine and the E-Tech flaps. Joined by a blue steel on the parts underneath, including the body, the top of the stock, and the barrel. Red is a tertiary colour, covering the underbarrel grip, a tube on the side of the barrel, the top of the shotgun shells, which I really don't know if that counts or not, a part of the iron sights, and small dots on top of the barrel. A military looking logo is seen on the side of the gun, once again on the shell holder thing. It's like the fucking name, it fires exploding sword. This E-Tech is so weird and unlike any other E-Tech weapon, but it's literally in the fucking name.
Sword explosion!
So, usually an E-Tech shotgun would, well, for one, never be Torgue, but also be a splat gun, firing gooey splashes of death. This bad boy, however, defies all laws of Borderlands, being a Torgue E-Tech shotgun that fires swords. With knowing the DLC it comes from, I'm not really surprised at all. It kind of makes sense that in a fantasy world, you could make something like this, and honestly, fair. I mean, what else do you want me to say? It's the Sword Explosion. Shoot, sword. Sword, explode. That's it. It's red text okay, fine. Fine, I'll go into more detail. It initially fires one sword. When the sword explodes, that one sword spawns into 3 smaller swords that spin in the air, hit the ground, and also explode. It consumes 2 ammo per shot and has a max of 9 ammo in the magazine, making for at least 4 decent shots per reload, on average. If you don't have any skills that change that, of course. It can also spawn with a prefix called Casual. This is basically never on E-Tech shotguns and increases its projectile count by 2, but doesn't affect ammunition cost, which is very good. It basically doubles the potential damage output. The explosive damage of this gun cannot be understated. The first explosion is good, right? But having more afterwards is just the cherry on top of the explosion cake. As the sword explosion counts as basically having a grenade with a blade attached to it, and Axton has a lot of skills that boost grenade damage, it makes for a perfect combination with him. This is just one of them guns that you see, pick up, look at for 2 seconds, see the name, fire, and think, I fucking love this game. It's arguably the most Torg weapon I could probably even conceive of, and having it do literally exactly what it says on the tin is just like, what did I expect? I've played this game with many friends over the years, and every single time I either give them this weapon or do the mission with them and they get it, they all pretty much do the exact same thing afterwards. Instantly pull it out and start randomly firing it about like a fucking madman going, this is sick. And that's what I love most about shit like this. The fact that we all have the exact same reaction. It's great to have unique reactions, but when you have the exact same reaction every single time, it just shows how good this gun is and how good the game can really be. Because you just won't get something like that anywhere else. Bear in mind, these are people who are used to like Call of Duty, Battlefield, maybe Halo, so seeing a shotgun that fired literal fucking swords that explode was understandably a bit of a shock. Even when they knew what Borderlands was, it still shocked them, which is just crazy. Its red text reads, because Mr. Torg said so, in reference to Torg being like, I want a gun that fires swords, wait no explode, wait no swords, fuck it, make the swords explode. And Tina was like, yeah, aye. It's also a reference to Stone Cold Steve Austin, who would constantly say the phrase, because Stone Cold said so. The Slow Hand. The E-Tech shotgun Slow Hand is manufactured by Hyperion and comes from the Borderlands 2 Campaign of Carnage DLC by killing the Badassosaurus Rex, or the Ultimate Coward, aka Sock and Boppers, aka Piston the Pussy Boy, in the Torg Arena. Moxie weapon again, guys, this time being entirely covered in pink. The Moxie logo is on the E-Tech flaps at the front of the barrel, being entirely white. The Moxie portrait, on the other hand, is at the very front of the body, being very translucent and very faded. It heals for 3.5% of damage dealt while holding this weapon. I just got it out of the way this time. The Slow Hand is essentially your normal E-Tech splat gun, with a very individual distinction of saying fuck gravity and firing in a straight line as compared to a normal splat gun, which fires like a weak stream of piss. It also deals very high splash damage, elemental effects, and comes in every element aside from explosive, making for a great pick if you want to shock, melt, burn, or goop your enemies to death. The fact that the weapon heals for damage given whilst holding the weapon like the Grog Nozzle or Ruby, as opposed to damage dealt with the weapon, makes for a great gun to use in close quarters by shooting at enemies grouped together. The high splash damage, elemental damage, and the healing properties makes for a great combination, especially when combined with someone like Krieg, who absolutely fucks in those environments. Just be careful as to not shoot extremely up close, however, as this gun can and will deal self-inflicted damage if you're too close to the exploding projectiles.
Okay, I didn't expect it to fucking one-hit me.
The prefix you want here is the practicable, that prefix, which does not spawn on normal splat guns and is very similar to the casual prefix I talked about on the sword explosion, which gives you an extra 2 projectiles. You can spot it easily if you see a vertical grip on the underbarrel of the gun, and also it's in the fucking name. Not much else to say really. Moxie weapon, healing, typical splat gun but a bit different, done deal. Its red text reads, take your time sugar, in reference to the name of the weapon, Slow Hand, because ha 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 ha, get it? Funny sex reference. Moxie is a whore. Now lastly, for the E-Tech uniques, and actually the last of all uniques in Borderlands 2, we have the Yellow Jacket. The E-Tech SMG Yellow Jacket is manufactured by Hyperion and comes from the Borderlands 2 Big Game Hunt DLC by killing Jackenstein in the Terminus. Having the exact same bee/wasp pattern as a few other weapons, a few of which I'm yet to cover on this list, the Yellow Jacket's main distinction is its colorway, having a shiny light blue as its main. It's the brightest at the end of the stock and gets slightly darker and more dull the further towards the barrel you get. A fully dark blue is the secondary colour. It covers 4 vertical lines of blotches that grow larger as you make your way further up the weapon, starting from the stock. The largest stripe at the front is more of a spiky blob, covering the majority of the E-Tech flaps. It always comes in shock, so has a few bright blue spots scattered all around the weapon. I know you'd probably think this weapon would be yellow and black, you know, because the name Yellow Jacket, and it being named after a wasp and all that, but Gearbox actually addressed this though, funnily enough, making a statement in response to how fans had the exact same reaction as me to how it's blue, not yellow. So they said, now, you may notice that the gun isn't, how to put this, yellow. The reason for this is simple. The Hyperion designer who designed the weapon was violently colorblind. Worry not though, after Hyperion management noticed this mistake, the designer was fired. Out of a cannon. Into a moon. Fair enough, mate. Being similar to a normal plasma caster SMG, the Yellow Jacket has a couple of standout features. The most obvious one you'll probably notice when firing the thing is, where the fuck have my bullets just gone? The gun fires slow projectiles that gradually speed up and then just become invisible. They still do the exact same damage as before they disappear, but it does make hitting enemies at more than close range particularly difficult, seeing as how you can't see where the fuck you're shooting. Once again, I need to remind you that it's E-Tech, and so doesn't do crit hits. Fortunately for you though, it always comes in shock, so you probably won't have to worry about that too much with this thing. It also has a 20% higher splash damage than your usual E-Tech SMG, being at a very high 70%. This is also boosted by nade damage, making it a lot better for Axton than your usual E-Tech plasma caster for him. It's also the only E-Tech SMG in the whole game that can come with blades. Don't know why. Kinda mid, but we move.
Bruh, I've seen some clipping issues in Borderlands 2, but this is like, bruh, 2 of the barrels just melt the bayonet off when you fire the gun. Why the fuck is that a thing? I swear, that must just be like some sort of coding error where they didn't realize that they've added it in and forgot to unadd it, because there's a reason why E-Tech SMGs don't have bayonet attachments. This is it.
The red text reads, by the people, for the people. A quote taken from the Abraham Lincoln Gettysburg Address speech.
And that's all the uniques done. Honestly, there's a lot here that I forget about or could just completely gloss over in different playthroughs, and there are many guns on the list that are summed up in about 30 seconds to a minute, and then other guns like the Pimpernel, for example, that are like over 7 minutes long, and I really didn't think that the video would end up being this long. So yeah, if you ended up making it all the way to the end, all the way to the 2 hours and 14 minute mark, thank you for sticking around. A lot of you might just be asleep right now, so wake up, it's time for school. Nah, but seriously, thank you for making it all the way to the end. This was a really fun video to make, and I think apart from the All Vault Hunters video, it's probably my most precious, what word would I even use to describe this, like my magnum opus, I would say. Like, I really enjoyed making this video. It was really fun to do it, and it didn't feel like I'd been working on it for as long as I did. It felt like I've been working on it for a lot longer. It's only a month, really, realistically. I started at the beginning of January, and it's been super fun. Now I gotta work on the Legendaries video, and then everything after that's for Sarah's Pearls, Effervescence, and then the entire gun series will be done then. I don't know when I'm gonna start on that, because I think I need a little bit of a break from the guns for now, and maybe even Borderlands 2, because I love the game, but Jesus Christ, getting all this footage took me hours and hours and hours. I've got about 250 gigabytes worth of footage on my hard drive, so yeah, we'll see what I think in the next few days. But yeah, thanks again for making it to the end. Hope you enjoyed. Sub and all that shit. Thanks again for Rogue Energy for sponsoring the video, and other than that, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.